phone on the podium because it needs to be switched on. Thank you. And okay, I'm gonna start. Hello, this is Chuck Teroni, Reading's Conservation Administrator. This meeting will be conducted in person and remote format consistent with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, which further extend the COVID-19 measures regarding remote participation in a public meeting until June 30th, 2027. Please note that not all items listed may be in fact discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. The agenda includes those matters which were reasonably anticipated to be discussed at this meeting. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all materials for this meeting will be available or are available at the Conservation Division page on the town website. Martha Moore is the Vice Chair of the Conservation Commission, but in Brian Bowe's absence, she'll be conducting and facilitating the meeting tonight. Please note there will be a public comment public comment period at the end of each hearing. Each vote will be taken during tonight's meeting, be conducted by roll call, and we begin with roll call attendance and a review of tonight's agenda. So, Martha?
Okay, attendance, and this will be the order we vote in. Tim?
To Michelle, member present.
Rick?
Rick Hugh, member present.
Walter?
Walter Talbot, member present.
And I'm Martha Moore, Vice Chair present, and Joe?
Joseph Fleury, associate member present.
Recording in progress.
Okay, and our agenda for tonight is the MBTA hearing, which will be continued to the November 12th meeting. Then we'll talk about Zero Small Lane, and 24 Dustin Road has also asked to continue to November 12th. And then we get to 400 Grove Street. That's a new public hearing. And then we have two items we need to vote on. One is 1295 Main Street, releasing the bond for that property. And 288 Grove Street, there is a minor plan change request at Meadowbrook Golf Course. After that, there's a couple of enforcement issues and some information with the administrator, DPW monthly meeting, etc. And I believe we have not received any minutes to vote on for this meeting.
No minutes.
Okay. Okay, and we are starting at 7:05. Okay, so the first hearing is the MBTA, and that has been continued, but it looks like there are some people here that might want to speak. And so I will allow a very brief period for public comment. No? No? Okay.
So we're gonna continue the hearing
So we had to vote on that first.
and let everyone know that we're not allowing any discussion for this hearing. So we're gonna continue that. And then Joe Fleury is going to give his report. And we decided that maybe that's a time for public open comment at that point. And so anyone can speak at public comment.
Yeah, okay. So first we need a motion to continue the MBTA hearing to November 12th. That's you, Walter.
I thought I second things.
No,
Oh,
oh, you're moving today.
I'm moving. Wow. I move that we continue the MBTA hearing till November 12th.
To Michelle, seconds. To Michelle, in favor.
Hugh in favor.
Walter Talbot's in favor.
Martha Moore in favor. Vote 4-0 in favor. Okay, and before we take Joe's report, I just want to mention that we got a letter from Brad Jones handed to me. It was written to Mr. Riley, so there's a letter that will be in our record. And also Brad Jones and Rick Hegarty wrote a letter to Phil Eng, the transportation the Secretary of Transportation. So I have copies of those letters here. And just so people know, on Monday, October 27th at 7 PM at Reading Memorial High School, there will be a special select board meeting, which will be all about the Reading Turnback Track proposal. So if anybody wants to have input, that's a great place to go for that input. Now, Joe Fleury.
You took most of my report.
Sorry.
No worries. So, yeah, so the Town of Reading Select Board is going to be hosting a special public meeting on Monday, October 27th at 7 PM at the Reading Memorial High School Performing Arts Center. This discussion is solely on the MBTA proposed Turnback Track project in Reading and its impact to the community. There'll be members from the Reading Turnback Committee presenting, potentially the MBTA, and also the Select Board will be presenting. There will also be an opportunity for public comments. So we do encourage all residents to attend. This is not just for abutters, it's for the entire town, and share their feedback at that time. And then additionally, there's been several letters released today from Rich Haggerty and Brad Jones's office regarding the proposed location and their concerns, as well as the information published by the Reading Turnback Committee on their concerns with this proposal. So again, I would encourage everybody to attend the Monday meeting if possible to learn more about the project.
Thank you.
So any advice for the commission if they intend to, attend that meeting?
We need to host it as a meeting for us if we're gonna have more than 4 of us there.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That's true.
Okay.
And we do have a active permit in front of us, so we gotta be very careful about talking, really open meeting law. You don't want to be in a position where it feels like you're talking about the application. So maybe just listening would be the best advice. That's what I would say, but I'm not sure if the chair, vice chair has any other
I
advice.
think that sounds like a good idea. Is it gonna be broadcast or is it only in person?
My understanding is that it's going to be broadcast like a select board meeting. I have not seen anything in the agenda, but I can double check. It sounds like someone.
Yes.
might be-
Just via RCTV.
RCTV YouTube channel.
Not Zoom.
Correct.
Okay.
There is no Zoom. It's RCTV's YouTube channel, so public comment would have to be in person or
Right.
sent via email.
But if
Prior.
we're just watching, we could watch it on RCTV and that won't create hassles with the open meeting law.
That's true.
Correct.
How
But
many of
I'm
us are
gonna post
actually
it
thinking
anyway.
we're gonna,
Yeah.
oh, you're gonna post it?
I'm gonna post it anyways, yeah, just
Okay.
in case. We were advised by Jane to do that,
Okay, so
Jane and Matt.
if you guys wanna go, you are able to go because Chuck's gonna post it as a meeting. But
What
the
time does it
advice
start?
is, it starts at 7
7.
and it overlaps by an hour with the Eastern Gateway meeting at the library.
Hmm.
So unfortunately, we can't all be in 2 places at once. Okay, so the advice is if you choose to go, we're not talking because we're talking in our forum, but we can go listen.
Can we speak as a resident though? Like if it's not about the open NOI, but it's regarding other aspects of the proposal, can we still speak? As a
Do you have
commission
an idea
member?
on that one?
Yeah, that's the advice I've got is yes, you can speak as a resident.
Okay.
Just have to make that clear.
Okay,
Cause I don't wanna I don't wanna
I
discourage
mean,
people
it's
from
clearly
going
different
and saying-
between a resident that's talking about how the noise bothers them and saying, I received some information from the applicant, and this is, and tying that into your answer.
Right, that makes
Okay.
sense.
okay. All right, so we don't have a public comment for this hearing, but we are allowed to have a citizens open forum at every meeting. So I'm gonna allow about 10 minutes of citizens open forum, which we're gonna allow 2 minutes max per speaker. So if anybody wants to speak, this is your chance, and Joe's gonna be the timekeeper for us. Anybody interested in the room in speaking on any issues in particular?
The
Yes.
MBTA, specifically with the MBTA.
Citizens open forum could really be anything. But I suspect that everybody's gonna be talking about MBTA. Jim Riley,
Yes.
go on up and state your name and address, please.
Jim Riley, 87 Hancock Street, Reading. Thank you for all being involved. I have just one question. A little over a week ago, the Board of Health had a meeting and agreed that there needed to be an independent sound air quality study and was going to send a letter to the Conservation Commission to get their input on that. Has there been any discussion or input, and where does this stand?
I believe they have asked us to hold off on voting on this issue until that study has been done. Is there more that I should say, Chuck?
Yeah, but they've asked, they've suggested, so they don't have any authority over the Conservation Commission, but
Understood.
they've let us know that they're doing a study. And so I will let you know that it seemed like we were gonna work on it and put some ideas together. That happened this afternoon.
Great.
And I assume it'll go out soon. And we'll see, I guess we'll see who's going to do it. I can tell you that they're thinking of a short-term turnaround for the people that want to be involved, any company that wants to be involved in this information. So a short turnaround, but I'm not sure what date that will be.
I'll just add one thing and then I'll leave. Maybe not, but I won't leave. MIPA, our team has been involved with MIPA, and they have responded saying there are documents, state and federal documents, they will issue. And I think it's my belief that it's important that whatever this study is and agreed upon, we should look at the MIPA documents that were provided specifically for the Environmental Justice Independent Living Center area. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room with comments or questions?
Hi, good evening. Lucas Prado, 85 Hancock Street. Just once again, thank you for all that you guys do. And that's kind of the focus of my comment today. I'm kind of winging it tonight, so sorry. But as far as I've understood it, I believe out of Alistair Soares' mouth himself has said, this is a precedent where they plan to put the idling locomotive. So I urge you as a board, for all the wonderful things that you guys did at the Mallet location, it is just gorgeous. I was down there last week and it is beautiful. So if they can set a precedent, I would recommend, and I'm once again, don't know if it's in your purview, all I ask is this board also attempt to set a precedent. That's all I ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room?
Linda Russo, 55 Hancock Street. The other night we were talking about the situation and I realized that the sound study was done with only one train, but the idling train. But 28 times a day, another train is going to come roaring by. So what good is a sound study with just one train? And that train was only 3 or 4 decibels below the limit that would make it. So how loud is that going to be when the other train goes by 28 times a day? I think it'll far exceed anything that's supposed to be allowed. So if they do a new study, or if they don't do a new study, I think that has to be taken into consideration, how loud this will be for the residents when there's a train already idling and another train comes roaring by every 15 minutes, every 20, 30 minutes. However, it doesn't matter how many. It's still going to be extremely loud for the people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Pat Crowley, 71 Vine Street. We have been going up to Canterville to help them understand what's going on. And even today, when we were up there, the anxiety and the fear of what's going to happen with all these trains. And they have certainly expressed to us that there's a number of seriously involved people with ailments and other issues that require sleeping during the day to recover from different episodes, situations they're going through. And they are having trouble now with the amount of trains. Now they live right on the tracks at the old turn, whatever it's called. And
Roundhouse.
Roundhouse, thank you. And they are very concerned that any increase is going to affect their health. And they very much want it down by the tracks. So just telling you their feelings. Thank you.
We do need to keep our comments to things that are in the purview of conservation, which is unfortunately not human health, but wetlands. Is there anybody online who has asked to speak?
Text comment online too.
Is there anybody else in the room who's looking to speak?
I don't see any hand raised.
Okay. And we are just almost at our 10-minute limit. So everybody has spoken who needed to?
Come on, we can go more.
No, no. I would love to get home before midnight this time.
Yes, I don't blame you.
Okay, all right.
Deal with text.
Nobody else online has a hand raised?
I've done
If
that
you are
before. I was
trying to
look
speak
for it to read it.
online, you use the reaction button at the bottom of your Zoom screen and use the raise hand function.
You just saw a notification.
Yeah, I think someone added a comment. I don't know if it was a public comment.
Okay. All right. We
Hold
will,
on,
oh,
that one.
John Kay has his hand raised.
John Kay, hold on a second.
And this will be our last public comment in this open citizens open forum, and we'll move on to Zero Small Lane.
All right, John Kay, you can unmute.
Perfect. Actually, I wanted to state this is not John Kay. This is Margot Denoy. I live at 1137 Main Street, but don't have my own account. So I'm using that of my husband. So my concerns are primarily that we have a conservation area, again, that's governed by the Wetlands Act. MSM, and then we have the Thalen Bird Sanctuary. And these are super important locations for the purpose of being able to mitigate climate change, for the purpose of being able to lower climate heat, for the purpose of being able to absorb carbon from the atmosphere, for the purpose of being able to reduce noise, for the in order to assist with biodiversity or support biodiversity. It seems to me that by placing these diesel engines that are going to be spewing benzene, formaldehyde, nitrogen oxides, carbon dioxides into the environment, it makes no sense right in the midst of all of this. There was a very good quote that Andrew Fenton or Andy Fenton provided during an NPR interview with All Things Considered when Governor Healy passed or signed off on her executive action back in September of 23, stating that it was imperative to be able to maintain biodiversity and how important that is for the purpose of human health, and for, climate, trying to help climate change or support work against climate change.
I know you can't hear the signal, but your 2 minutes is up. Can you wrap
Okay.
it up very quickly, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Is it possible, so I've kind of made my point, makes no sense to go ahead and degrade an environmental area whose purpose to humans at this point is to go ahead and help sink carbon and clean the environment. What is the point of putting more pollution, noise, air, heat, etc., into this environment when there are other environments that it could be put into? That was my one point. Second point is it possible?
I'm sorry, your time is up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Come back to the next hearing if you need to speak more.
Perfect.
Yeah, all these MBTA questions are best to say when the applicant's here, because then the commission could actually address them. But we appreciate your input.
And you can also go to the select board meeting on October 27th at 7 PM in the Performing Arts Center at Reading Memorial High School. Okay, we need to move on to Zero Small Lane. Is Jack online?
No, he's out in the.
He's out in the hall. Okay.
Please come.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Oh, gosh. Tough shape.
Yeah, I ended up reading that chat. It just said from John Kay that the noise will bother the animals also.
Oh,
Hi, Martha.
hi. Is Maureen available to work with us?
Yeah, I can start and
Okay.
she can join.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so
So I think you
what do you
want,
want, the plan or the
Yeah, if you
fee?
put up the plan and.
and you get a microphone this time.
Excellent. Thank you, commission members. For the record, Jack Sullivan, Sullivan Engineering Group, and I'm here with the applicant, Joe Marino, and Maureen Harold of Norse Environmental will be joining us in a little bit. But I wanted to come in front of the commission tonight and really just give an update. We're going in front of CPDC November 3rd for our first hearing. And it was important we met with you first to get feedback from you before we saw them. But also last week, I had a development review team meeting with the Public Works Director. Chuck was there, fire department. And it lasted about an hour. We had a good conversation, and it really centered around a couple small changes that we're going to try to make to the plan. And the small changes were based on feedback from our first meeting with you guys. Specifically the location of the cul-de-sac. So the fire department they said we need a turnaround, even though it's one house. Chuck and I tried saying, what if we just sprinklered the house? Nope, they need the turnaround. It's public safety. And as we know, small lane right now, dead ends, there's no turnaround. So by adding a turnaround, not only for public safety, but the DPW director said snow removal. They need some place to turn around. So I didn't have time to do any sort of redesign, but I'm looking at trying to either relocate the cul-de-sac to a better location or provide a hammerhead turnaround, which the fire department said they'd be open to discussing. And I'm going to try to move it so that I can possibly get outside like the 25-foot no disturb zone. Right now I have, I'm inside of it, there's retaining walls. So that was the big thing. I think the commission, Chuck, that you guys brought up last time that you'd like to see me try to, you didn't want to feel like here's a design, you have to accept it if there's an alternative. So I'm going to look at an alternative. So that was the biggest thing that came out of the DRT meeting. It was a positive meeting. Everyone's had seen the project before when it was going to be 2 homes. They were basically familiar with it, but basically the cul-de-sac redesign. And then for tonight, so that's an update there. And like I said, November 3rd, we'll be in front of the planning board and we'll get some feedback because as I talked to you in the first meeting, there's a number of design waivers we're looking for, dead end road length, width of the road, things like that. I think they'll be received favorably, but haven't been in front of them yet. So we'll see. But tonight, there were 2 things I want to talk about. I know Brian's not here tonight, but I'm hoping we can have a good conversation on it. One is the wetland fees for this project. So this came up in the past when it was the 2-lot development. And as we know, the roadway hasn't changed, so a lot of the impacts are the same, even though it's 1 house. And when I did a calculation, which I provided, if we didn't receive
that on the screen?
Yeah, if you can put it on the screen, sure. Right. And I should say that Joe's looking to move to this property. He lives in North Andover, so he's going to be living here. So, you know, he's not looking to develop the property and sell it. He's looking to basically move from North Andover to Reading. But if we add up the fees, and I filled out the fee calculation forms showing how I arrived to the number. The total fee would be $47,248 for 1 house. That's for the roadway and the house and the lot work, which is cost prohibitive. If that was the case, Joe wouldn't even move forward with this. He wouldn't, it would make no sense between the land costs, the cost to construct the road, the cost to construct the house, and it would just, he wouldn't even move forward with the project. So we had come in early to talk with Chuck about it. He said, you can make a proposal to the commission. So that's what we're doing. So we have a proposal of $15,710.50. And we'd be looking to split that between two of the conservation funds. 7,800, we basically split that fee in half with $7,855.25 going to the Reading Conservation Fund to cover the wetland bylaw fee. And then the second payment of the $7,855.25 would be to the Reading Conservation Tree Fund for the removal of trees. And then I tried to step through it showing for this site, the roadway and the single family lot, there'd be 57 trees to be removed. Okay, in the rain garden, I'm planting, in front of me, I'm planting 6 trees. So I think I would be entitled to a 1-to-1 credit for that. And we have 37 shrubs. And in your tree removal policy, every 3 shrubs would equal 1 tree. So with 37 shrubs, that would be 12 trees. So that in the rain garden was 6 trees and then a equivalent of 12 trees for the shrubs. I'd have 18. And then Joe would look to plant another 8 trees throughout the driveway in his build site. So I'd have total of 57 trees removed, 18 tree credit for the rain garden, an 8 tree credit for the site. That would net 31 trees in total to be removed. And typically what the commission looks for is $250 a tree. So I did 31 trees times 250 equals $7,750. That can round up to the $7,855.25. But what I was hoping to do, first we have to see if that's agreeable to everyone. The total number of the 15,710 is still a pretty hefty number, but Joe was willing to do that. But also, we were hoping to pay the check now to the Reading Conservation Fund. And then for the tree removal portion, if for some reason this got denied and it didn't move forward, then the trees would not come down. So it wouldn't make sense to give that money now. Joe would be fine with a condition like, you know, prior to a pre-construction meeting, prior to, you know, some sort of language in the order of conditions that check would be credited. His concern is if he had to write both checks and it was 15,000 and then for some reason this board or the CPDC denied the project that's out of pocket. He doesn't get it, but it's non-refundable.
Mhm.
So that's a concern of his, and he was upfront with me, and I said that, I'll make that presentation. Obviously, it's up for discussion tonight, but that's one of the big things I want to talk tonight about. And that's why we had the meeting. Otherwise, I probably would have tabled this hearing till after the CPDC meeting, but this is a big enough topic that it could take a little time to talk it through.
Can I just add, the tree portion would be refundable if the trees never came down. I think a condition would be once if you got an approval and an order of condition, I would say prior to signing the construction permit or clearing the site, we would solve this situation.
That would
And
be fair.
typically what happens is when you're cutting down trees, there's always something you didn't think of or another tree.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's more than we go in there with. That's what happened at Annette Lane.
Right.
It was like 29 trees and it became 36 trees.
Right, and if that's the case, and some of the trees I pointed out, I don't know if like, I show 57, if the one's dead, I don't know if that counts in the 57, you know.
Dead trees don't
dead
count.
trees.
Okay, dead trees don't count, so that might be something when, you know, if one's dead, but he took one you know, we'll work that out, but that would be fair, Chuck, that would be acceptable.
Do you have a planting plan for where the trees and the shrubs you're planting are gonna go?
I'll add those to the plan. I haven't yet, because I wanted to see where this would go, but I will add those 8 trees. They'd be within areas of 100 feet, so that they'd be controlled. You know, if they were outside your 100-foot buffer and you planted them, Joe could go take them down and you'd have nothing to say. So the 8 trees we plant will be within a 100-foot buffer, so they'd be controlled in the future with the commission.
And have you specified species for those trees yet?
Not
Have you
yet,
thought
but
about that?
I'm open to ideas.
Well, true natives to start with,
Yeah.
from Chuck's list on the
Yeah,
website.
I know you guys have a good list of native trees and shrubs, so I can pick some off those.
Does anybody else on the commission have questions or comments?
Chuck, is it possible to absorb the other $7,800 to the conservation, knowing that what we know about the tree fund today?
So there's, it looks like it's split in half, and
Right.
which one are you talking about? The one that's
Talk about the tree fund, because that doesn't go to conservation, I thought, right?
the tree fund does go to conservation.
It does. Okay.
Yeah, so we would be able to, so what is happening here is the applicant is saying, I can't, like, we want tree for tree.
Yep.
And we're doing shrubs for tree. It's not really equivalent. This gives the Conservation Commission an opportunity to plant real trees somewhere else in town. And
this
it's
is
up
the
to the Conservation
Tree
Commission to
Fund,
plant
not
them and.
Town tree fund.
So that's where I'm probably getting the two mixed up.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the other one was supposedly just a request to lower the fees. But the background on that number, and I'm sure this number comes out to close to the town council says that all the work on a site has to be equivalent to my salary and how much it would cost the town for me to go out there and review the site. And that's part of this review now. And then the future review of just administrating the order of conditions. And that number came out to generally around this area. This is a different project than the town council talked to about. That project didn't have the houses involved. So this is substantially further along than that other discussion, but it's in the same ballpark. I hope that answers your questions. I'm not saying that we're allowed to reduce the bylaw fee, but we have been told by town council that these numbers are too high. And I think Jack was working with what town council asked them to work with. You know, why the fees are that high is a long story. And I think that we're thinking about opening up our regulations anyways to talk about the fees. Some obviously will go up and some will go down. So I hope I answered your question.
I just want to make sure I understand. So that does answer my question. So based on your calculations, $47,000 would be the fee today, but you're proposing a reduced fee of 15 with the 2 split payments?
Yes.
I understand.
Can I piggyback off of that? Was anything paid for the previous proposal? Like when this was first proposed with 2 houses? Was
Yeah,
a fee
absolutely.
collected
Yeah,
already?
fee was collected.
And the work that the reviews that are happening, I know a lot of the plans, they still have to be duplicated. There's updates to be made from the previous plan, but a lot of that work had already taken place for the first proposal. Does that have any bearing in this conversation? Because
It sounds like, it would, but in my experience, it doesn't. Each project stands on its own.
Okay.
Like DEP doesn't say, this is the 3rd time this has come in, so you don't have to pay a fee this time. No, the fees are the fees it's a different applicant. So the fees are the fees.
and then to
It
clarify.
does make sense. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, that's where, if it's a different applicant, then it's a different process. The other question is, so for the trees removed at 250, we're not talking about the voluntary shade tree fund, correct? This is a separate, so the individual homeowner capped at 500 is different than this.
The shade tree fund is run through the DPW department and this conservation fund, I think we were still allowed to do, or it's still an option on when they do the online permit, but it's not going to be an option.
Yeah, that just because I'm looking at the tree replacement policy and that's where this is being called out. It doesn't have that calculation included, the 250 per maximum number of trees for individual homeowners. So it says like voluntary shade tree fund contributions will be a minimum of 250, maximum amount of 500 for applicants who are individual homeowners. But new subdivisions and commercial uses, it's minimum 250, maximum amount would be set at the commission's sole discretion. So is that a separate?
So what's the name of that?
It's the tree, Town of Reading, Massachusetts Conservation Commission tree replacement policy from March.
So our
11th.
tree replacement policy is for trees for 1 to 4 trees.
Okay.
When you come in with a notice of intent, the commission can use it as guidance. I was gonna miss into Rick, where he said, dead trees are not counted.
Okay.
That's not true. And a notice of intent, it's up to the Conservation Commission, how they want to keep the environment safe. And they could say, we don't accept this at all. We want 57 trees replanted. It's up to you. We do have a tree policy, so it kind of, gets you in the ballpark, but you're not required to do anything under that policy because this is a notice of intent. You have to have 4 less trees to be in the policy.
Based off your experience, would you consider this 15.7 reasonable?
I was trying to say the 15,000, whatever, that is pretty much what town council wants as a full package of fees.
Yeah.
And so how it's split up, I believe that would be up to the Conservation Commission.
And Joe, if I can add, you brought up a good point. I didn't mention it because it's not this applicant, but on the other project, the fees had been paid. It was a reduced amount too, but I think it was close to $30,000.
Okay. And was it the same?
No, it wasn't, you didn't pay,
What was it, 20?
I believe it was well, it might have been, I don't know the exact number. I thought it was this number because I looked it up when we first talked months and months
Yeah,
ago,
yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
But they paid for consultants, so he paid for all the consultants, and that might have driven it up.
Higher. Okay, that was the case. Yep. But it's a separate application this time, but
Right, understandable.
This
Any
might
other
be-
questions from the commission?
I would just say one additional question. Is this a typical split that we would see? Is there like, what would kind of drive a split of 50-50 and how would, I guess this is my inexperience here asking this.
We don't have a
question, so-
chart in the regulations. This is this is from the applicant. They're saying this is what they'd like to do, and they're trying to get the commission to say yes by saying this is how they'll split it.
So,
That's how I
but in
read it.
terms, like in terms of the conservation tree fund, then that's our discretion for where those trees could be placed elsewhere in the community, or is that still at the direct discretion of the DPW?
No, has nothing to do with the DPW.
Okay.
It can only go on conservation land
Okay.
that we own. So even if it's jurisdictional wetland on
Mhm.
someone else's property, that's not where we can plant. It has to be owned by the Conservation Commission, wet or dry, we could plant there with this money.
Does that lock up the funds then exclusively for tree usage? So for example, if we went with a 75-25 split for the conservation fund, does that open up the usage of those funds for something else other than tree planting 1-to-1?
The way this is written, 70, so it says trees and it's directly equated to the $7,750. Whatever the difference is, could be used for conservation purposes anywhere else, because they're intending to write a check for $7,855. So it's not, it's like $100, whatever. It's like $100. So that $100 could be used for conservation purposes anywhere. This is locked into tree, for tree replacement or evaluation, other things that have to do with trees.
So we could use it at
trimming.
Millette Psalms Morgan, we could use it at Pineville, we could use it at Bear Meadow.
Yeah, and you could also
For
look at
trees.
this and say that those numbers don't work and come back with a counter offer with this.
I would think if council is okay with this and it's reasonable, I support it, but maybe I'd like to see a little bit higher number to the Reading Conservation Fund. I think to help out the department over the, so maybe do like, I don't know, Chuck, what do you think? $10,000, $11,000 to the Reading Conservation Fund, and whatever's left over, go to the tree fund? Would that help?
So what I know about this is I think it all has to add up to $15,710.
Yeah.
So, but we don't have to go through this tonight. It sounds like, I know the commission just got this. Sounds like, and you wanted to know if we're in the ballpark. It
Yeah.
sounds like we're in the ballpark.
Mhm.
Brian's not here. When we did our prep meeting, he had some comments.
Yeah.
He wasn't gonna zoom in from, I don't know where it is, tonight for just for this meeting. But, if you came back and we could, discuss this and members can give me their comments. But, to answer your other question, town council didn't see this particular request, but their guidance over the past has been those two numbers is like whatever the temporary and permanent alteration within the 35-foot and the 25-foot area, those fees are too high. And so they mentioned fees more like Burlington, and Burlington's fees are around 50 cents. So there's more to it. I think Reading's more complicated than Burlington. When we talk about our fees, we'll get into all the, how does this work for small projects? But that was town council's advice when the first applicant came in about this project.
And I don't know that we really can move money from the tree side to the just conservation fund side, because the tree number comes from the 31 trees. So the 7,750 is based on the net trees removed from this property. And so that money really has to go to build trees, to plant trees.
And remember, it's not a big number, and I don't know the number on top of my head, but when we filed with the state, there was a state fee and a town fee that was paid. This is additional. But I know that's not a big number, and I don't know where that money goes to in your funds. But we had a check payable to the town of Reading, it might have been $1,500 or $2,000, I don't know, something like that. And I don't know where that goes in your funding.
I'm not sure either. Okay. I do have a letter from Pam Merrill from DEP with a bunch of information on it. You saw her letter?
We did
Can
see
can
it.
we finish up with the trees first?
So.
Yeah.
I thought we were.
Oh,
Sorry.
I don't know. Does
Do we
anyone
need
else
a
have
vote on
anything else to
this, or-
say?
Do you have something else to say?
Yeah, I also don't like how this is broken up. And, you know, I think that, it's an interesting, it's interesting. I understand it, but you know, the Conservation Commission is not a bank, or we're not supposed to look at that kind of stuff. Not supposed to care about money and whatnot. I think it's important to try to, they can't replace trees on the property. They should be replaced somewhere else if that's the final resort. But I think this is important to get these numbers right. And then to see a planting plan too, because I'm not sure that we can say, oh, well, you know, all this information makes a lot of sense without knowing where it's exactly going to be planted. So,
Well, we know the rain garden, that we do have a planting plan for that. So all those numbers I took in that summary are taken right from the plan sheet that you guys have. The 8 trees, I do have to show those. I agree with Chuck there. But as far as a planting plan, we did have a detailed planting plan for the rain garden.
yeah,
But you're right, I do need to show the other 8 trees, and I will.
Okay.
I think the rain garden, so then the replacement, right? So you're creating, you're destroying wetland and you're creating wetland. Is any part of that the rain garden? My point is that if we're destroying, or using a portion of the wetlands to do the crossing, and then we have to do a replication, half of that replication, if it's 2-to-1, was existing. And if you're just replacing whatever that is in that half, maybe that shouldn't be counted.
We are replacing it greater than a 2-to-1 ratio. And I mean, to be honest, where the crossing is, where that pipe is, it's silted in. It's not even a functioning. I know we're counting that as part of our area, but it's pretty marginal. But we are replacing it at greater than 2-to-1 ratio. I mean, if we think there's an opportunity to do some other trees and bring that number down, we could talk about that too. But I think he should get a credit for the rain garden plantings, because I could, you know, we're doing wetland replication. I could do a wetland mix and leave it at that and just let it grow out over time, but he's actually gonna be spending money on trees and shrubs. That's a cost to him. So I think he should get a credit for that, in my opinion.
So when you say rain garden, you're referring to the triangular wetland replication that's
Yeah,
on.
I should be
plan
saying wetland replication area. It's not truly a rain garden, but it's
Page
gonna
8
kind
of
of
8.
function as a rain garden right on that page, yeah.
And you say what you're replacing is a silted in area with a functioning, more functioning high value wetland.
I think so. Because in that area where we're doing the wetland replication, remember there was like a stone fireplace. It had been it had been disturbed in the past. There was some sort of old foundation in that area. I think this will have more of a value after we plant it. It'll be more valuable wetland. But I do think we should get credit for the plantings, because he does have to spend money.
Can I add something? Just one thing to keep in mind is we're only disturbing a fraction of the entire piece of land that we'd like to put one house on. I mean, this is over a 10-acre parcel. So, you know, we're disturbing really the minimal amount that we can possibly disturb to put the roadway in and build one house and then implement drainage for the roadway. Most of this land is going to remain wooded and not touched. So I don't know if that's something the commission can possibly take into consideration.
And before you sit down, can you just identify yourself?
Maureen Harold, Norris Environmental Services. Thank you. Sure.
I get the impression that we're heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
But I think we do want to see where the other trees you're planning to plant are. Are they gonna be along the roadway? Are they gonna be up in the detention basin?
Yeah.
And, you know, that would be an important factor.
Okay.
And I guess my one question about the wetland replication site is, like, does that count as double dipping when you're counting those trees for your tree replacement and also counting them for your replication of the wetland that you're filling? And I'm not sure how that works, and I would have to look and see how many trees are in the part you're filling that you're now putting the replication together.
Okay, yep.
Bigger, but I haven't counted the trees in the two places. So, can I go on to other questions now? This,
Yeah, I just wanted to make it clear that I don't think that this is resolved.
no, I don't think it's resolved, but I don't think he's expecting to pay 47,000 either. So we can resolve it at our next meeting. Once
No.
we get the tree plan.
We're certainly well below the 47, but how that 15, or if it turns into 20, or if it turns into 15 with definitely 20 trees being planted, then, you know, that's the part that I'm talking about. So that's why we needed to, and those are just examples, don't get worried about that. That's when we need the vegetation plan so we can see what's going on. So that's, and make comments about that. All right, I'm done.
Everybody else comfortable with that?
Yep.
Generally? Okay. So when you come back, you're also gonna come back with an answer to the issues she had
Yep.
in this letter, right?
Yep, so from the letter that that's from DEP, we did receive a DEP file number. We got a laundry list of comments from DEP, which I was shocked by, but I usually don't see that. You know, there might be one comment, but those are the comments we'll work through.
Yeah, she had a big list.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Any comments prepared for tonight about that?
I don't have any. Do you, Maureen?
No, I wanted to, you know, address it formally and provide it to the commission for review and discussion. So just haven't had the opportunity.
Okay.
That was sent out to the Conservation Commission and the applicant, and I'm not sure. I mean, I talked to Maureen about this and asked if how often Pam reaches out about this kind of stuff. And, you know, occasionally she does. And, you know, here's the comments that they made. And did you, Maureen, do you know when you'll be able to address these and then come back to the commission, understanding that our distribution deadline is like next Thursday? Oh, wait a minute, it's the following Thursday. It's
So we have
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Mm.
Do you want to? We got to do plan changes too, Jack.
Yeah, we got,
Yeah,
Well,
and
we'll
just
try to
remember,
hold
we
that
only have
'cause-
one November meeting and one December meeting.
Oh, really?
then we have to hold the November meeting. Joe's under a pretty tight timetable on this. So I'd like to keep trying to move along. If we had to continue, we will, but I'd like to ask that we have the November meeting.
Okay. And I just had a couple of other questions. You talked about trying to make the cul-de-sac into a hammerhead to
Yep.
reduce the pavement area.
Yep.
And you talked about trying to push it back so it's out of the 25-foot line.
Yep.
I'd love to see if you can get CPDC to budge on the width of the roadway and make it as narrow as possible.
We tried that at DRT.
Yeah. No go.
Well, I mean, the DPW director was there and they said they need that for plowing.
Okay.
But I will bring it up with CPDC. I'll ask the question because if I can reduce pavement, that helps me too.
Yeah, and also how we can make sure that we're not pushing the snow into those wetlands when we're so close to the wetland line.
We had talks with it because the town's gonna still plow it. It's funny though, and Chuck will remember this. I said, yeah, you know, the town requirement is 30 feet of pavement. We're gonna request a waiver down to 24. I had tried 22 a number of years ago, and the fire department goes, oh, we'd like 28. I go, we're going the wrong way. So I think everyone will be comfortable with 24, but I'll try to see if I can get it reduced.
I think the commission member who was really pushing for putting one house in and not two was thinking that if we put one house in, we could get a narrower driveway.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I think that's all we really need to talk about tonight. Is there anybody on Zoom who's not in the room who has comments, and somebody in the room has comments? Okay.
And I still had one more thing too, but
Okay.
whatever order you want.
While he's looking on Zoom, remember, use the reaction button and the raise hand function. Can I call on the person here?
Yes,
You have to get up to the
I would
podium.
love to. I'm
You can come up.
waiting for him to go.
You can take the spot.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
I called in last week. My name is Christina Ladani. I'm at 17 Small Lane. I'm the current owner. My mother sold me the house. It's been in the family since it was built by Mr. Small. So my concerns, I do have a few, so please give me a time limit. Give me the 10 that the other guys had before. And by the way, I love your shirt. Very good for the Conservation Commission, having fish on your shirt.
You don't love my birds?
Let me see.
I have
Oh,
birds.
come on now. All right. Anybody else? Underwear? Okay.
It's gotta keep up.
So, funnily enough, you brought up the, what was it called? The hammer turnaround. Last year, when 22 Small Lane was asking for additional land, from the Hammerhead turnaround, so they can have their driveway a little bit bigger. And we were here for that committee meeting and we approved of it. There was someone on the committee that did not like the Hammerhead. I remember, they're like, no, don't like the Hammerhead. It's not a good idea. Was that you? I remember the Hammerhead was something that was frowned upon and I'm not sure, Walter, I think it was you that said you didn't like the Hammerhead turn. So I'm surprised that's even brought up because that's something that was poo-pooed for the 22 Small Lane to add on to their driveway. So, oh, I took my glasses. Okay. Also, let's see, I do have a couple things. So the replanting of the trees, it would be great if it could be more in the area than not, just so we could keep that saturation that I brought up on the Zoom last time. I'm concerned about the water pump that was brushed over really quickly. That was just installed for the 3 houses on that lane. And you did mention that it is ready to go for another full family of, but we didn't give me like information exactly on that. I would really like to see if we can get a survey on that pump and see if it can handle also the sewage coming in from another house. That would be grand. Let's see. Will there be any street damage to the, during construction? Are you going to add on to Small Lane, tar it over, that kind of thing? Because there will be a lot of construction. When 22 was redoing their house, there was a lot of damage put on the existing street itself, and that's a concern, along with the greenery that was around it and on the end too. So there was a lot of damage to the trees around there. Let's see. And oh, also, this is really interesting. Could you bring up the plan of Small Lane in the area? Since I did grow up there, and we're talking about the water flow coming from my backyard, and then we're gonna have that 10-inch trench, the waterway going through. Let's see. Yep. How about the one with the water, the color? Yep. So.
Sure, is that up or down? Right.
Oh, you can squish it. Let's see. So bring it over a little bit. And okay, so here's 17. So the water comes and flows through here. Here's going to be the drain. Now, when I was young, the water would flow through here and into a waterway going here next to 22. Now that was what, 40 years ago, the water was flowing. I remember it was flowing and you, as a kid, you go down there and you're playing around and it would never ice over because it was flowing. Now I'm wondering if there's gonna be more water coming down. And now this, the waterway, which is, advanced and there's a lot more rain, will this start flooding the land over there on 22 side and kind of make it bigger and flood over that part of the land, the wetlands over there? So there was a constant flow. And since we're gonna have more water coming down and snow and whatnot, I'm concerned that there's going to be kind of water building up on the side and flooding for 22, which is not good, but also just flooding our land. So that was something too. I'm not sure if you looked into that. And?
I can
Okay,
the top
great.
and front.
All right, so, but thank you very much for all of this. I really appreciate it. All right, thanks.
Just to hit to that last item, and I thought when the drain is silted in, were you having problems flooding in your backyard?
Yes.
Okay, so that's been brought up a number of times over the years, and by adding this drainage, that's gonna alleviate the flooding in your backyard. And we're taking our road drainage and the house drainage, and we're putting it into a basin out back, and we're managing the, you design on different storm events for different periods, and I submit a very detailed report showing I need to reduce the volume and rates of runoff on this site, which I am. But it will help. One of the concerns was the flooding in your backyard. Because I think, yeah, so that'll help because that pipe silted in. That's why you're getting flooded.
Well, it wasn't just my backyard, it's the surrounding land as well too. That's going to be, affected. We do have a lot of nature and wildlife and deer and all that kind of stuff too. And
And some of your questions will be answered with the planning board as well. And I will look into the sewer pump station. I haven't had time to talk to the town engineer, but I made a note to myself to check that.
When Ryan answers that question, could we get a memo with that?
Yeah.
On it?
Yep.
So just to go back to that culvert, so that culvert's like 8 or 10 inches existing,
It's like a 12-inch.
it's like 12-inch,
Yep.
and it's silted in.
Silted in.
And what we're doing here is we're spanning 18 feet.
Correct.
So I don't know how many times bigger that is, but I think that would more than adequately handle any surge that would happen. But Jack's also letting you know that he's not allowed to do that. He has to maintain the existing runoff on the site. He can't increase that, but he can decrease it. And so in a kind of an unusual way to think about it, that this could be benefiting you by having this stormwater in this house being put in, because they have to bring the property up to date with the current stormwater standards. And they're doing a stream crossing standards too, and that's why we've gone from 12 inches to 18 feet is just incredibly expanded over what was there, considering also that it was silted up. So I don't know, obviously the water went up against the bank and then pushed back into your yard, and that's going to be fixed up. So that's not going to happen anymore.
and that, just a quick question, does that get serviced? Is it like, who's gonna oversee that kind of?
So there should be an operation and maintenance plan that would be part of. We've done that before in town. Batchelder Road, there was a culvert on site that the owner had to maintain by just making sure there were no sticks that built up in it, so there wasn't anything being blocked.
Right.
So we have an existing condition about that, which could be added to this project, or something different that the commission comes up with. So that could happen.
And Jack, you said you had one more thing?
And I touched on it and where Brian's not here, but I still want to bring it up and we can make a decision where we want to go on it. But one of the questions, we had been peer reviewed on the previous application when it was 2 houses. And at our first meeting, I talked about how the road hasn't changed, the drainage system hasn't changed. And the previous peer reviews were LEC did a wetland peer review, and then
Rosalie Witt and Janet Bernardo.
did the stormwater. And we went through 3 rounds of each, and we were on the home stretch, and there was some bookkeeping to do.
Shannon said her stormwater was complete.
Okay,
That's what I remember, that she wasn't.
right. I think the stormwater was complete, and then there was just some loose ends on the culvert and how we're gonna do that, and Maureen's gonna address that. But I want to get a sense from the commission. We're obviously hoping we don't have to go through a peer review since it was extensive the last time, and it's substantially the same design, but I wanted to see what your thoughts were on that.
Anybody on the commission have comments?
I'm not on the commission, but I'd like to make a comment.
I will call on you next.
I would just say, I don't think you have enough material in front of us to make that decision. We'd like to see Maureen's answers to Pam's questions, and I think that would be the more appropriate time to ask or poll the commission to see if they're comfortable with the crossing, if there's anything missing, and if they need peer review. But right now, without knowing your reply, I don't know if Pam will reply, but that would be great if she did, because that's kind of a peer review in itself. But I think maybe at the next meeting, when that gets taken care of and the commission have a chance to, that would be a more appropriate spot to ask. In my opinion, we are pretty far down the road. I think it was just, I was asking about pebble counts, and Maureen was thinking about her answer. So we were deep into like things that may not matter to other people. But I'm not sure that we've had enough discussion about, we have all new members. So except for Martha.
And
So maybe to describe, going through that at the next meeting too, and what it's all about, so they'll understand exactly how much better, more better. Might as well mess up the entire thing, the entire sentence.
The challenging aspect of that suggestion is that you meet one time in November and one time in December. So if it's decided in November that the commission votes to send it out to peer review, well, we lose that month, we lose the following month. So that's why we were just hoping to get a direction tonight from the commission. If you think that might be appropriate at this time, I understand, Chuck's concerned about the additional information that will come in front of the commission, but I think we want a direction tonight if we can get it.
Chuck, was it recorded then?
Yeah, it's recorded.
Would you be able to find the peer review of when they were up front here at the mic for us to listen and watch? For those of us that weren't there?
Yeah, you could look back and you could look at the recording, and we could put up some of the information on the website also. At least LAC's notes. That's for sure. We could do all that, but again, this is something we want to be level and even with everyone, right? So, I kind of said it at the last meeting, but we're looking at the MBTA and we're asking for documentation before we make a decision. This is very similar to that same request. I understand that we only have a couple of meetings, but and we're not in control of your schedule, and our schedule has been posted for a year. And so my answer, it has to be, that's our schedule. I mean, I think CPDC, they're like five months, something like that. Or
Well,
nowhere
we
near that.
understand your point of view, but I guess we're kind of looking for the commission, if you feel comfortable right now deciding if that's appropriate, or if you want to wait till next month, that's suggested.
Well, Rick wanted to think about being able to watch the video. And it looks to me like September 2023 was a date for this. So you could look at the minutes. I would start with the minutes before you start looking for the video and see. But that's the ballpark, was sort of when we were almost done, and then they withdrew without prejudice. So you're in that neighborhood of looking at the posted minutes to see when the meetings were. Chuck is saying he wants to see how you've answered the letter from Pam Merrill.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Don't lock yourself in.
Right.
I mean, it's unfair that they're even asking.
Right, yeah,
So it doesn't make any sense to me that they're trying to get you to take away one of the arrows in your quiver. You know, these are all the tools the Conservation Commission uses. I wouldn't tell them. And if you did tell them, I would say, hey, like tonight, this is what it looks like. But we will definitely change our mind if we feel like we need that. I mean, that's the only way I would agree. That being said.
I think, too,
I
Chuck,
already-
to be fair, we had we had drainage and wetland.
mhm,
Sounds like drainage, like Chuck just said, that had been completed. I'm not changing anything with my drainage system.
Yeah, I don't think, we're not talking about drainage.
Okay, so drainage is out, so we could at least say we don't need peer review on drainage. I don't think that's being unfair asking that.
well, but isn't Pam Merrill asking you to, the project does not meet stormwater standards, a detention basin cannot be used to meet standard 3, and the treatment train must be redesigned to meet the standards fully?
I'll
So-
answer her, but she's wrong. I mean, we were peer review, we went through extensive stuff. You can use a detention basin to meet groundwater recharge.
So I think I need to hear how you address all these issues that Pam talks about.
Right.
Discussing how the bank will be restored, implementation of quarry logs and plugs and compatible stream bed substrate. Why is your thing 41 feet long? You know, she's got this huge list of questions.
Which I was surprised at, because we have 24 feet of pavement, 6-inch curb, so that's 25. We have 3-foot shoulders and then 2.5-foot wide retaining walls on each side. It equals 41. So some of these comments I'm going to respond to, and some were just bookkeeping, but it was more detailed than I've ever seen in a response from DEP, but we'll respond to it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree. But they did respond.
But they did respond,
Yeah.
so we have to answer it, which we will.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry, we don't have a more concrete answer for you, but,
I just wanted to bring up the discussion point, and we had a discussion on it, so thank you.
okay.
Yeah.
Are we all set? And, would you allow us to vote to continue to the November 12th meeting?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Walter Talbot moves that we continue discussion of 0 Small Lane to November 12th.
Tim Michelle seconds, Tim Michelle in favor.
Rick Keough in favor.
Walter Talbot's in favor.
Martha Moore in favor. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thanks,
Thank you.
John.
Next one is 24 Dustin Road. They have asked to continue. So I need a motion to continue 24 Dustin Road.
Walter Talbot moves that we continue 24 Dustin
Yeah.
Road till November 12th.
Tim Michelle seconds, Tim Michelle in favor.
Rick Keough in favor.
Walter Talbot's in favor.
Martha Moore in favor. Okay, is there anybody here for 400 Grove Street? Good job, Jen.
Think Maureen's here for that. Are you here for Maureen? Yep.
Yeah.
You need a minute?
Let me read the blurb. I have been lax about that, but this is a new hearing, so I'm gonna open the hearing on a notice of intent filed by Catherine and Julian Hickman pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and/or the Reading Wetland Protection Bylaw, Section 7.1, for installation of an in-ground pool, pool patio, equipment area, landscape wall, fencing, drainage area, associated grading, and utilities within the buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. The application and plans can be viewed on Conservation Division page under current project Assessors map 43, lot 15. It looks like we do not have a DEP file number on this one yet.
I can check, but,
No, we do. It's 2700806. And as of right now, no comments.
Okay, thank you. And can you walk us through the project, please?
Sure. Maureen Harold, North Environmental Services. As the chairwoman had stated, I filed a notice of intent with the commission to construct and install an in-ground swimming pool, patio, equipment area, landscape wall, fencing, drainage, and associated grading and utilities. The project meets the 25-foot no disturbance zone and the 35-foot no build. The wall is proposed along 35-foot. The pool itself is proposed within an area of lawn. So no trees will need to be cut or removed as part of the proposal. As you can tell from looking at the plan, we're very limited in terms of where we can put a pool on this property. But we were able to squeeze the pool in and meet the setbacks. And I can open it up to the commission with any questions.
Okay. Anybody want to comment on our site visit? Walter?
Yeah, you said no trees are gonna be removed. There's a tree pretty much where the equipment looks like it's gonna go.
Okay, so one tree?
Yeah, one small
One
ornamental
small
tree.
one there.
Okay.
And then there's the risk of leaves coming down from trees further away exists. So are these trees coming down as well?
No. So thank you for correcting me. The one tree will be part of the proposal. I didn't realize that that was where the equipment area is because it's not shown on the plan. But we'd like to maintain that 35-foot buffer that the commission likes to see.
The other thing is there's a plastic cover. Look at the patio, head down, pretty much along the 78-foot. I'm reading that incorrectly. The 77-foot line.
Okay.
What is that plastic covering?
I don't know. I can check with the homeowners. It might just be, do you think it might be an irrigation cover? I can find out.
Because while it doesn't show up on the plan, it's dangerously close to some of these critical lines.
Okay.
So I don't know where it's going, where it's coming from.
Yeah, we wondered if it was an irrigation. It's like about this big around and green.
It sounds like it might be just.
Control valve. It says control valve.
Sprinkler.
Right, you think that's sprinkler? Yeah.
But I can certainly verify that with the homeowner.
And then the sprinklers, are they far away enough? Where are they located?
I don't know where the sprinklers are located. I'm not sure it's relevant to this filing. Where the pool is being proposed in the lawn, if the irrigation system is there, it'll need to be torn up to get the pool in and reestablished.
Since it didn't show up on the diagram, I was concerned that the lawn is within the 35-foot.
I don't have a tree line on my plan, unfortunately, for me. So I can't tell you what the extent of the lawn area is by looking at this plan.
I know with other projects that had swimming pools, we've also looked for like crushed stone around the edges, perhaps around the equipment in case there's any overflow, it gets dissipated better.
That is an option we can possibly incorporate. We are proposing a dry well for the impervious area. So that's just another method to incorporate infiltration. So you could do the crushed stone, or you could run it into a system that's underground into a dry well.
some system that if there's an overflow, we're not worried about it going towards the wetlands.
Okay.
That's what I had.
Okay.
Walter, just to go back to your point, so there is that one tree that's like right on the 35-foot no disturb that is going to effectively hang over where the pool is being proposed. So, you know, in terms of leaf management, I'm assuming it's an in-ground pool, it'll have a cover on it, but during the fall, there's gonna be a lot of leaves falling down in there. That tree also leaves beyond the 35-foot towards the property. It's not marked on this map, but will the homeowner have any intent to, you know, after a year, once this is approved, or if it's approved, to chop down that tree near the 35-foot, you know, due to convenience purposes or?
Let me verify that with the homeowner. That's a good point to bring up. So I can find out whether they want to remove the tree or maybe it just needs to be trimmed, the branches, and that might solve the problem, but let me check with the homeowner to see if they have a preference.
It's a big tree.
We eyeballed it and it was roughly, I think, pretty much the 2/3 of the length of the pool, but yeah, it would be good to confirm. And then in terms of like the storage of construction materials, et cetera, how do they intend to access the property for this project?
So the driveway is off of Family Circle.
Correct.
I'll have to get back to you on that. It makes sense to me in terms of temporary stockpiling to possibly put it on the driveway. That way you won't have anything running off because it'll be on a impervious surface. But I'm not sure if they use their garage every day, if they park their cars in there, if they're willing to not use it during the construction period. So let me check with them on that. But I'm assuming the access will be, you know, beside the driveway with the trucks and that type of things for the equipment.
So I think there's also erosion control mapped that's along the retaining wall, if I'm not mistaken. Is that going to be also during construction?
Yes.
Okay. And then just one other observation. So again, in-ground pool, does the applicant intend to like drain that pool every season? If so, how will that be? Is there like an operations plan or anything of how that will be drained? Like, can it actually, Chuck, this might be for you. Is it going to drain into the wetlands, for example? Is that allowed, or how do they intend to drain the pool for maintenance, et cetera?
So I've never had a pool growing up, but my understanding is that you need to drain the pool prior to closing it up for winter time.
Maybe 6 inches or so.
Is it
above the skimmer? There's not a law. You don't drain it out every year. You only drain just below the skimmer.
And like the chlorine mix that can. flow
Yeah,
in.
it's very minimal. I mean, like I said, you only drain it just below the pipes that would feed it.
And you wait till a couple of weeks after you last chlorinate before you take that water out, so you're not dumping chlorine water.
Sure, there's actual DEP guidance on that. And so we usually ask for a operation maintenance plan on that, which is basically incorporating in the DEP guidance.
I can provide that to the commission. That's not a problem. As Martha said, a lot of people wait from the last treatment, like 2 weeks, let's say, and then they run it over across the
Is it
lawn.
a chlorinated pool, salt water, like what, do you know what they're gonna do? Cause that'll be a difference of your plan.
That's a good question. I need to
It's all
find
water,
out.
the different plan of.
Right. We'll find out.
That was my last question, so thank you.
Tim or Rick, did you guys have any questions? Okay. And I apologize. I think we did not coordinate who was going to send a report from our site visit on Monday, so we're talking now, but nobody wrote a little email. Often Brian does it and he was getting on a plane, so I failed to fill his shoes in that way. What I noticed was that we have a beautifully maintained landscaped yard. And then we have the no disturb zone with the natural vegetation that has been filled with a lot of yard waste. And in the area where the yard waste is, it has grown up into a bunch of invasive species. We saw buckthorn out there, we saw tree of heaven, we saw bittersweet, we saw Japanese knotweed. And the yard waste is not just in one pile, but it's kind of all the way along that wetland buffer zone. So I think we normally ask people who are presenting projects to remove down to the place where the leaves have started decomposing, take off the top layers of leaves. But also I think they really ought to do some work to remove the invasive species that have come up as a result of piling up the yard waste back there.
All of the invasives that you mentioned, or, cause like glossy buckthorn, absolutely right, it's invasive. It's everywhere. Every piece of land that I flag is glossy buckthorn. It's practically native, I feel like, because it's been here for so long. But the Japanese knotweed, terrible plant. I agree, we should remove it. The bittersweet, we should remove it. Tree of heaven. I don't know. So I don't know if you're talking about every single species or just target the worst ones to give it a shot.
I only saw one tree of heaven and it was growing up pretty close to their landscaped garden area. So
Okay.
I would say it would be worth trying to get rid of that one before it gets bigger than it is
Okay.
and becomes more of a problem. And definitely the Japanese knotweed. And, I really don't want the bittersweet killing all the trees in
Yeah, I
that
don't like
area.
that either.
I'd like to see the buckthorn also worked on, but
The buckthorn's tough because you can cut it down and it resprouts. I
Yeah.
have it in my yard.
yeah.
And it's everywhere. It's every piece of land in the Merrimack Valley it's on. I can't think of one that it isn't.
Yeah, and I pull the buckthorn in my yard every year and try to keep it under control that way. So it's not that I'm saying you're gonna. I don't know that you're gonna eradicate it, but I think it's important for them to know that it's a good idea to try to beat it back, if that makes sense. And I was thinking like 2 years trying to get rid of these plants and, have a good effort over the 2 years, maybe including a certified applicator, because I don't know how you're gonna beat the Japanese knotweed if you don't have somebody doing the cut and dab application.
I don't know. The whole thing is very overwhelming. Invasive species management, it sounds really great. It sounds like such a great, good thing, and it is. But the problem is unless everybody's managing the invasive species on their property, it just doesn't work. And the other problem is the birds. The birds spread all of these plants through the berries. So it's just a daunting task, I think, for a lot of homeowners. But if the commission is gonna require that this be done and be implemented, then that's what we'll do. That's why I was hoping to maybe target the worst of the worst. And in my mind, the worst of the worst is the knotweed and the bittersweet.
I would also include the tree of heaven on
And the
that
tree of
list.
heaven.
Yeah. What does everybody else think? I see Rick nodding.
I pulled out a lot of buckthorn. It's, I had a lot of it. It took me, I don't know, 4 hours. It's really easy to pull out. I think they should give it a shot.
Okay.
You're already, you're not working on that directly in this location of the proposed pool, but you might as well take the opportunity to do it now versus 5 years down the road where it's gonna multiply, so.
Yeah. And you were saying there's buckthorn everywhere. There's also yard waste piles in every backyard we go to visit practically. And I'm just amazed that these people who are across the street from the compost center couldn't drive their leaves to the compost center. You know, people from the other side of town can complain it's too far away, but this was the like closest house you could possibly be and be able to take your leaves to the compost center.
Well, a lot of homeowners have landscapers and, you know, those guys are busting their humps every day landscaping and they dump it where there's a convenient spot.
Right.
Doesn't make it right, but
Yeah.
that's what happens more often than not.
Yeah, and so that's the request, is to ask the landscapers not to keep blowing the leaves into the wetland.
That's perfectly fine. I'm more than happy to remove the lawn waste and the leaf waste. That's not a problem.
Okay. One of the people asked, are you keeping the door that's next to the bulkhead that will lead out to the pool from the garage? Any changes there?
I'll have to ask the homeowner. I believe we would keep the door.
Okay, and the patio that's on the plan, is that the same patio that's there and the same patio that's gonna be there, or are you modifying the patio in some way?
The existing patio will remain the same.
And it looks like the retaining wall is gonna go where some plantings are around that existing plant patio. So are those gonna have to be relocated or removed to make room for the retaining wall?
Yes.
Okay. Um. Oh, out in the middle of the wetland, we noticed at least one cinder block and some piles of cut logs. I think the cut logs might have come from a fallen tree. I think we would ask them to remove the cinder block from the wetland. I'm not sure we need to ask them to remove the logs. I think they can rot in
Blocks a
place.
habitat.
Right, they can rot in place, but maybe take out the cinder block.
Okay.
Okay, and how far away from the wall are you planning to put the erosion control so that you have some room to work to build the wall?
Well, the plan shows it right next to the wall, and that is a good point. We may need to give that at least a couple of feet. The wall's really a landscape wall. It's only varies in height, 1.5 to 2.5 feet. So it's not 4 feet or greater. If we could relocate the erosion controls 5 feet, I think that would be adequate. You know, that would give the men building the wall 5 feet. They can work on the upgrading side and give some more wiggle room.
That would make sense to me. Does that make sense to you, Chuck?
Yeah.
So the erosion control will be more or less on the 30-foot line and the wall will be on the 35.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And if they're putting in any soil stockpile when they're digging out for the pool, I would love to see that on the other side of the 100-foot buffer zone line in the front yard rather than downhill from the pool.
My guess is they'll be trucking that off-site.
Okay.
Just because outside of the 100-foot is in the front yard, and it just does not make any sense to dig it out and run it across the driveway.
Okay, so trucking that out sounds good to me. The proposed patio that's gonna go around the pool is not drawn in here. Do we have any specs for that patio?
I can get you specs. It's actually shown as a sliver of patio area. Right here.
Oh, just on that side only?
And a little bit right here.
Okay.
But I can get you, specs from the pool company if that helps.
And is that the impervious area that you're talking about doing the stormwater basin for?
Yeah, so I don't know how the commission looks at the pool, if we need to count that as,
My understanding is we don't, because the
Okay.
rain fills up the pool, so it's not running off.
okay, every town is different, believe it or not.
That is my memory from the first pool we permitted, was that the pool does not count as impervious surface.
The same with the cover. Do you have a cover?
Well, is that something, we should probably check on that. I mean, I don't think we're trying to fix runoff. I think we're trying to infiltrate.
Okay.
So, I'm not sure, we made a decision, it's not gonna be part of this application, so. But I'd like to check on that. That sounds, I don't know.
Not what you remembered?
No, it's not that I don't remember it, but just when you said it doesn't run off, that's what I don't remember.
Okay.
So that was the reason I'm like questioning it.
It's gonna be covered like 8 months a year.
Yeah, but I mean, I have a cover on my pool and the water goes on top of the cover. No, the cover sinks in and it makes a pond in the middle of my pool, and then I have to get rid of the water later, but it's not in that first storm surge 24-hour thing.
Well, an in-ground pool will have a cover that the water will seep through.
Depends on the in-ground pool.
Right. But normally the ones that they put in now, then.
They have the elephant pool.
Yep, and
the
it goes right
elephant
through,
cover.
so nothing
Yeah.
puddles on top of the cover.
Yeah. So it all goes into the, yeah. The pool that I'm remembering is right off of South Street. It was near Sturgis Park. And that's the one I remember that I was surprised to hear that didn't count as impervious. So that was like 2020.
Yeah.
So. Okay, anyway, but maybe it would be good to know what the patio is gonna be made of, and I'm surprised that they're only having patio on the 2 sides of the pool away from the house, because usually you don't want to be trekking across the lawn to get to your pool. You usually have some sort of a walkway from the door to the pool.
I agree, I would like that.
So,
Let me verify with the homeowners. I mean, this was that they approved this design, but I think it's an excellent suggestion. Let me run it by them.
There's no detail for the power for the pool equipment,
For the pool
where the
equipment.
trenching is, where it's gonna be coming from.
Okay, you'd like to see that on the plan?
yeah, good point.
My question is, looking at the diagram now more thoroughly, if there's maintenance on the pool, you have to go through the far side of Grove Street, walk through the gates, and then go across the patio to get to the pool. There's no access to the pool from Family Circle.
There is.
Yeah, through there.
So Chuck, if you put up the, can you put up an aerial by chance?
Yeah.
So the driveway is actually off of, Family Circle. And then, I mean, you could access the pool through the lawn beside the road.
But there's a
But
fence.
there's a fence there. There's no gate through the fence.
I don't know the fence detail. I'm sure they'll have a gate. I'd put a gate
You
there.
show a gate on the far side, the north or the upside.
Yeah, they show a gate on the side of the house farthest from the pool.
Didn't see one.
Right.
but-
So they don't show a gate along the driveway side.
I think that was just an error. If the commission would like to see a gate, we can add a gate in that location. That's not a problem.
I think they'd like it.
I don't think we should we can't design the project, you shouldn't tell them to put in a gate. We should be talking about a gate.
They can access the pool however they want to access
There's
it.
there's a fence on the plan You're asked to approve that. Just end it there.
Sorry. I won't charge.
And, did you notice there's somebody in the waiting room?
I didn't notice that. But I'm wondering,
Okay, I think I have finally come to the end of all my questions. I apologize for bringing them all on you at the last minute.
It's all right, Martha, you're keeping me on my toes. It's a good
So
thing.
you've got a bunch of things to go back and ask them about. Is there any public comment either
please
in the
Chuck
room?
comment first. Sorry.
Oh,
I've
is
been
there
waiting.
Chuck comment?
I've been waiting.
Okay. Thank you, Chuck.
So, so my comment was, so we're approving the installation of an in-ground pool. I can see that on the plan. Pool patio, and you pointed that out. The equipment area, we've asked for more detail. Which I'm wondering, are we asking for, like, is it gonna be, on sonotubes? It's gonna have a foundation, that kind of,
Probably gonna be a
detail?
slab, but where's the trench for the electrical going more
Yeah,
than?
so
any-
how is it fixed to the ground? There's fencing, we just talked about that. The drainage area. What are we approving when you say drainage area?
So the thought was to put a dry well in that location.
What location? Does it say it on the plan? Am I
Okay.
missing it? Okay.
Right near the
Oh, right under that.
78.
Okay. And that dry well does what? So there's like no line coming from the dry well to show us where it's getting its water.
I can add the details for that. This lot is in the watershed.
Yeah.
So I think we need to do a deep hole for that as well.
So are you thinking rooftop? You're thinking, what's your thought? Is it coming from the roof that you're gonna just pipe that over to the,
No, it's gonna connect to the patio. The patio is gonna be impervious and then we're gonna run the surface runoff to the dry well.
patio is cement?
Yes,
Okay.
as far as I know, unless the homeowners are looking to change it at some point during this process.
All right. Patio cement, so I think that just a little more detail on the plan would be a good thing. And then the associated grading, I just want to make sure, because we've run into problems with this before. I don't see it on the plan. We would like to know where, how much, that kind of stuff. So if you're not going to go out there and take shots and fix this plan, we'd like to see a document that describes what you're going to do for grading or any filling.
Okay, so, we can do that. I mean, that area is somewhat flat in that area, so, you know, when I say associated grading, a lot of it is if it's relatively flat, you're gonna do some grading.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna be substantial, like you put it in a 4-foot, 6-foot retaining wall or something like that.
But you do have a wall going in there, retaining wall.
We do,
And
and
that's when you said associated grading, my mind started to kind of wander a little bit on what are we talking about here?
well, if you look at the plan, the elevation of the pool is gonna be at 79.5. You can see the 80 contour right behind the house that goes along the property line. And then where the wall is proposed, you have a 77 contour. So the wall's gonna vary in height from about 1.5 to 2.5 feet. But I can try and get some more detail on the plan. That,
So between the bottom of the wall and the top of the wall towards the house and pool, there's a 2-foot difference. And you're gonna fill for 2 feet.
yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure the commission picked up on that point. I was also confused by the patio, so, all right, now that's it, all my questions.
Now, anybody in the room with comments or questions? Anybody on Zoom, use the reaction button and the raise hand function inside the reaction button. Okay, seeing none, it looks like we have a lot of things to come back to the next hearing with. Are you willing to ask for a continuation
Please,
to November 12th?
please.
Okay, can I have a motion to continue to November 12th?
Walter Talbot moves that we continue discussion of 400 Grove Street to November 12th.
Michelle seconds to Michelle in favor.
Walter Talbot's in favor?
Martha Moore in favor. Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you.
Okay.
More, I need to step out and answer
Okay.
a phone call, so you can continue on with me. The applicant's right here.
Okay. Is this 1295 Main Street?
No. The next one.
Grove
Meadowbrook.
Street, Meadowbrook Golf Course?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Want to present to us your proposal?
Yes, Dan McCarthy from Meadowbrook Golf Club. We have a minor site change with our storage building that we're putting in. We need to put in a holding or a ejector pump for a bathroom that's going into the building, and bring water and sewer lines down to that area. So they're detailed out on the drawing. Location of the ejector pump is to the right of the building. And water line is in blue, sewer line is in gray, in green. Running up to our existing storage building that we have up in the parking lot. And sewage and water are coming from that building right there. So we're just looking for, or just notifying you of our additional excavation to the right of the building for that holding tank or for the ejector pump and water lines coming up.
Okay. Did everybody on the commission get a chance to see the plans online? Chuck hasn't put them up on the screen yet, but the green line goes right along the road. The blue line comes in at the front of the building. It looks like it's going under the tree cover, but is that still also in the road?
It is not, it is still in the road. Yeah, that's that corner has been cleaned out from trees. They're just, that tree cover has just never been updated.
Okay,
But
so
yes,
all of
there's
the
a clear,
trenching is
clean
gonna
shot.
be in the road. And is this basically cut and cover trenching?
Yes.
So you will not have any stockpile dirt to erode overnight or anything. It's gonna all get covered up again the same
Dig it
day.
and excavated. I mean, that we still have all of our erosion control out and such from the building. Everything is still current, so. And still intact.
Okay, so you're working on doing the building already.
Correct.
The erosion control is in place.
Correct.
And you just need to add these two lines.
Correct.
Okay, anybody on the commission with questions or comments? Construction experts? All right, so what my notes say is we need to vote whether this is a minor plan change or move up to an amended order of conditions or as much as a new notice of intent. And my feeling is it's probably a minor plan change. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
All right, so can I have a motion to that effect? Walter? Or do you have any questions
I'm
first?
just looking at the doc, sorry.
Okay.
Um,
So the first question is this a minor plan change? Then after that, we'll vote whether or not to accept that minor plan change.
I move that we accept,
No, that we decide that it's a minor plan change.
I move that we decide whether it's a minor plan change as presented from the golf course at Meadowbrook with the new septic system. Pardon me, not septic system, drainage system.
I think it's sewer line and water line.
Sewer line
right?
and water
Sewer line
line.
and water
Yeah.
line.
And then eject-
For
yeah.
half.
Okay, can we have a
Michelle
second?
seconds to Michelle in favor.
Rick Q in favor.
Walter Talbot's in favor.
Martha Moore in favor. Okay, now we discuss whether or not to accept this minor plan change, and then we can move on that. But any comments on whether you approve of this minor plan change? Any questions about the logistics of it?
No.
Okay. Now we get to say, do we accept the minor plan change?
No, the only question I have
Mhm.
is that the pump station, what prevents it from being overflowed?
There's an emergency alarm in it. It's a forced main that runs up to an existing forced main, so there's an emergency alarm in it that triggers at a specific height to prevent that. But it's under pressure. It's not a holding tank, it's under pressure.
I follow.
We have the exact same unit in front of our storage building, so we already have one on property that works very efficiently.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Anybody from the audience? I don't think Chuck can look to see if anybody's on the computer.
It would
so
come up on the screen and stuff in there.
There doesn't seem to be anything. Okay, can we have a motion?
I move that we accept the minor change to Meadowbrook Golf Course as provided in the discussion.
Tim Michelle seconds, Tim Michelle in favor.
Key in favor.
Walter Talbot's in favor.
Martha Moore in favor. All
Thank you,
right,
Commission, appreciate it.
finally, somebody who doesn't have to come back again. Right, done.
It was done before you even got back.
What's that?
Well done before you even got back.
I know, you guys are great. I feel very proud.
Thank you. Okay, any
Thanks for,
sign
giving
of
us a minute.
1295 Main Street?
Yeah, 1295 Main Street. This is a project that was, came in as Lot A Main Street. It was a house, very difficult spot. And so because of that, because the contractor was building it, commission asked for a bonds for $5,000. The house was finished a long time ago, and we issued a certificate of compliance. We've actually been there a few times just to make sure that things are working correctly in their 25-foot no disturbance zone. Did that. And I received my monthly report on, the accounts. Noticed Lot A was in there, which is called 1295 Main Street. And so I reached out to the owner and I asked him to submit a request to have that come out. I do not feel there's any reason to hold this money. This project's finished. This was just the owner's oversight. It's not really set up so that the Conservation Commission says, oh yeah, now we have to give you your money back. Everything is generated by a request from the applicant. But I did reach out when they came in. They happened to be doing another project in the town. So I got the request letter and I have the information he sent me about the check and the refund. So my recommendation is that we approve this fund. Oh, it was also on last week. We talked about it the last meeting, but I didn't have it on the agenda as a vote. So this needs a vote, and that's what I'm asking for tonight.
And when you said the owner, do you mean the person who did the construction who has the bond, or the person who bought the house and now lives there?
His name's, the person that, for the contracting company, they ended up selling it to the now owner. But the owner back when this order of condition came through was Frank Lanzano. And so it's going back to Frank. And the way our orders of conditions are written, whoever gives us the bond, we have to give the money back to that person. If you want to look at that someday, vis-a-vis 1503 Main Street and those guys up at that end of town, you can, but right now, this is how it's written. And this is not the same situation. This money should go back to Frank. He finished the project fine.
Yep, we made them add some more plants to fill the 25-foot zone, but yeah. Brian and I and Chuck have all seen this property and it's in good shape. So can we have a motion?
Any discussion?
Oh, sure, discussion. Go ahead.
I move that we return the bond funds for 1295 Main Street.
Michelle seconds. To Michelle in favor.
Rick Keel in favor.
Talbot's in favor.
Martha Moore in favor. Okay. The next thing on the agenda is the enforcement order at 445 Pearl Street. Brian has been by to look at it, but he's not here to talk about it. So I'm gonna suggest we hold off on that till Brian is back.
And that might be something that we put on the agenda so everyone to look at. I think that it's moved along much better than it has in the past 3 years. And we'll see where we're at, but let's hear from Brian first, and we'll do our prep meeting. And if he thinks it's time for the entire commission to go out, then that's what we'll set up. If not, we'll monitor it for a few more months, see what happens.
Didn't we do a site visit there about a month back?
Yeah, it hadn't been finished yet. Now
Correct.
it's
Okay,
finished.
okay.
Now it's
Yeah.
closer, yeah.
Thank you.
If you remember, when we did the site visit, wasn't there a giant dam in the middle of
Yes.
the stream?
Yeah.
The
that was
dam
last
is
conversation.
gone.
Okay.
And the nearer part to the street has been worked on, but I haven't been there
Okay.
to take a good look at it. So I think another site visit is in order.
Did the DPW have to get involved with that one?
Um,
Because they blocked it off. I think you were concerned about that.
on that day, I did reach out to the DPW and someone went over there and talked to them about that. I don't think it was in a bad way, just
Yeah.
saying if they need any additional help and or something like that, but it was taken care of quite quickly after that.
I stopped by and
But the
spoke
town
to-
did not do any of the work.
I spoke to Mike and said I was just checking because it was pouring rain and I wanted to see what was going on. And he said the DPW had stopped in and offered that they could help pump the water over the dam if necessary. But it hadn't filled up that much. Okay, 50 Joanna Drive Enforcement Order Site Visit and Review. We did go out to 50 Joanna Drive. Walter, do you feel like telling what we saw there? And Joe, were you there too?
Yep.
If you want to speak up and tell us about what you saw, you're welcome to.
Sure.
I don't remember the numbers and the names of the bushes and trees.
So we did have, I think, five commissioners there at 50 Joanna Drive. We observed, I think there was the new fence that was installed, as well as the plantings. We did a counting of, I think it's 15 trees and additional shrubs. We had some concerns around the location of several of the trees planted on the far end of the property closest to Grove Street, I believe, facing Grove Street. The location, they were kind of clumped together. And I believe there was also some concerns that they were not true native plantings, but varietals of those natives. We did speak with not the
Mr. Federa.
Mr. Federa, about moving one of the plantings, one of the trees, to just help kind of with its eventual growth, which I believe there was some agreement that it could be moved.
Yeah.
But Ryan was, I know, talking with Mr. Federa
Right.
beyond our site visits. So.
Right. What he said was he thought they had put them in exactly the place Maureen had on the site plan. And between Monday and today, I did not get a chance to pull up on my computer the site plan from Maureen.
Mhm.
But, yeah,
I think we
that
saw.
was our concern.
And I know there was some removal of invasives. There was a little bit more, I think, on the far end of the property that could have been removed that we observed, but everything appeared to be trimmed from the base up to 15 feet or so. Some of the vines. That was all that I observed, Walter. I don't know if there was anything else. Add.
Yeah, just for detail, the three red maples were something like Autumn Glory or October Glory or something, varietals of red maple. They had all been purchased at Mahoney's, and that's what Mr. Federa said Mahoney's had. So I think maybe we were not clear enough on wanting true natives when we asked them to do those plantings.
How so?
I don't remember.
No, I mean, like, why do you think it's the commission's fault?
Okay, maybe it's not. Maybe it's that he didn't hear us when we said we wanted true natives.
Why do we need to wonder about what his position is? Does the commission always say we'd like true natives?
We have
Pretty
in the
much
last few
100%,
years,
yeah.
Yeah.
And Maureen's been here many times.
Just a clarification to that, I believe it was Mr. Videra or the applicant provided the list of natives to Mahoney's at that point in time. I think that's what they mentioned. They just took the printout and handed it directly to Mahoney's when they were sourcing the trees.
Right.
Just a minor
Yeah.
clarification.
So I
But
think
the answer to
maybe,
that is, sounds like, from what I'm hearing, the list was correct. But when Mr. Federa says, this is what they had, that makes me think there's some substitutions. There's always substitutions. But,
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not just one, it's 3 trees.
more than 3, because a lot of the dogwoods were not native dogwoods either. Uh-huh.
The maples in question are pretty close.
Yeah, interestingly though, my memory was 3 trees in a straight line and 1 tree further back. And these trees are not shown exactly in a straight line.
They weren't planted straight. There's a little bit of an offset, in the middle one.
Yeah, but this one is further back than I think it actually is. In this plan, the tree is further back than where they planted it. But I think they're pretty close. But that's a key question then is, we asked for true natives, we didn't get true natives. Do we,
But did you, no, I'm only just mentioning this because you made it seem like, you know, maybe we should try harder the next time or something like that. And I'm not really sure that's how the commission operates. But if there was some sort of agreement made out on site with Mr. Federa, then I think you'd have to honor that.
I don't think we made an agreement, we just had a conversation. And we asked the question and we got the answer that he handed his list to Mahoney's, and this is what Mahoney's gave him. And the one I'm remembering, it's Autumn Glory, was the red maple. And I think probably when he handed the list to Mahoney's, he did not say, and they have to be true natives, and Mahoney's is not one of the landscape companies that stocks mostly true natives. I think Mahoney's stocks a lot of beautiful varieties of varying colors of flowers for your flowering dogwood, for example. So, but I guess that's the question is, do we demand that they dig up all of these non-natives, varietals of natives, and replace them with true natives? Do we wait and see how many survive in the spring and have them replace the ones that died off with true natives? How hard-nosed do we want to be about our must be true natives policy? That's my question. In the after the fact that they've already planted all these trees.
As a homeowner, having planted many, many things myself, I'm trying to remember if I've ever seen a tag that says true native or ever didn't have some kind of variety. is true natives available, commercially available?
If you go to the right place, they are. Not necessarily Mahoney's.
Well, okay.
Well, we don't provide a retail location to buy those true natives with our planting, or like when we provide that list, we don't have preferred vendors.
I don't think you can do that.
Yeah, that's what, but that would be my confusion, like the tag, actually,
Yeah.
one of the tags says it was like Native Valley or something like that, and it's like, I see native as a homeowner, oh, maybe that is a native,
Well, you know,
I was just curious.
you know, thank our lucky stars that Maureen Harold was part of this project. And actually, I believe she was the consultant on this project, and she is a wetland scientist. So if there was any confusion, they could have come to the Conservation Commission or just asked Maureen what her thoughts are. So homeowner walking up a tag that says native, you know, maybe, I mean, we can't go around looking for excuses. It's hard to get this stuff done. And if you want to be specific, we have to write it into the enforcement orders. But, and that's maybe where we didn't have the need for that, because all this was presented. I don't think there was a request to update the enforcement orders. We just went with what Maureen presented. So I'm looking for her list. And I think that would be interesting to find out.
Walter just had the plan up. Does it have the list on it?
I think as a homeowner, you pay these people to do their job. You're trusting that they're gonna do it. So Maureen, you know, I don't think the homeowner's looking at every tag saying, no.
Well, absolutely not, no.
You know, you're paying someone to do a service and you're relying on them to do it.
We're actually hoping that happens, because then the homeowner can go back to the service and say, this is not what I asked for.
This diagram says proposed shrubs and proposed trees, and that's all
Yeah.
it says.
There might be a letter associated with that where Maureen listed off the plants.
It's not in the project.
Restoration plan.
Yeah, it's not in the letter either.
It's just the
I have one from
invoice.
August 6th. It's called the revised planting, what you call it, revised plant, North revised plan. Get the actual
Not on that card.
revised plan memo. Here's Mahoney's invoice.
8 trees, 8 shrubs.
Yeah, I think there were 8 trees, 8 shrubs, and then he added one more up in the front for some reason.
But yeah, none of these documents actually have the list from
Mahoney's.
I mean, you just have the Mahoney's invoice. That's it. So that's what they planted or ordered.
There's a chart here that says homeowners shall plant a minimum of 6 shrubs, and they give common name and Latin name.
Okay,
Plant a minimum of
8
8 trees, 4 to 6 feet. Common name, Latin name.
okay, I don't think it says on that list must be true native. So we managed to let that one slide by. Cause
6
common
it
name, Latin name.
Trees are proposed to be placed. 6 native shrubs are proposed.
Yeah, but native can include the varieties unless we specify true native, and then it's not varieties. And we learned that with 1503 Main Street. Okay,
So it's a native and not true native.
I think it didn't say true native.
Okay. Well,
All right.
let's just move on.
So I think I would suggest that we do not close this enforcement order yet because we don't know if these trees have survived and we want some survival documentation. We want to see them leaf out in the spring and maybe survive next summer,
Yeah,
at least a year, maybe more.
yeah. I think that, yeah, in the back, I think a lot could happen. They could just get entangled by bittersweet or something like that. So there's some maintenance that's needed. And it would be prudent to wait at least through one winter. And we usually ask for 3. So that would be reasonable, but yeah, it's up to you.
When we were there, I got in my car, drove away, and I'm saying, I never looked to see if they had hoses.
Ah, the tenant is the one who's going out and watering them.
Right, but
Yeah.
did you see hoses?
There were none in the yard, but there was a hookup towards the back part of the lot.
You're an
We
expert
did-
on this. You wanna?
We did ask about
At
that.
one point, I was calling Joe. I said, am I watering too much? I was out there every day.
I think you were refilling the gator bags every day. But there were no gator bags that we
So,
identified.
yeah, and it's a better time of year to, if those pictures are from August 6th. You know?
Yeah.
And you went and saw them recently and you thought that they looked good.
Well, the hot hornbeam or the hornbeam had 3 little tiny leaves left on the top and all the rest of the leaves were gone. Some of the dogwood leaves were pretty droopy, but it is fall. So I'd like to see what leaves out in the spring and what survives the summer.
Well,
So let's put it on for a year from now. Let's go back and look and decide at that point how many need to be replanted and whether we want to come back a year after that and look again.
So I'll let Mr. Federa know that we like the planting, we agree with the spacing, everything seems to be good, but we just need to make sure that these will survive where they've been planted, so we're gonna hold off on closing out the enforcement order and look at it again a year from today,
And maybe another year after that.
and then make a decision, sure.
Okay? All right, we're on to November 4 DPW monthly meeting projects for 2026 list needed. So if there are people on the commission who have ideas for things that we need DPW's help for
Bet you Joe has at least one. right?
beyond
After
sort of
helping me out today.
routine maintenance that they always do for us, this is particular projects we want to ask for.
Yeah,
Joe.
so we were out at Millette's Homes today to take out a second bench. It's the one on the largest pond in Millette's Homes. The footings or the legs on the benches are bending. It's a polywood bench. It's made out of, I think it's a recycled plastic material. But what we've noticed on 2 of them so far, and Chuck and I have removed both of them, is that the legs bow out over time. Occasionally they'll get shifted when people are moving things. Maybe they'll take a photo or something like that and they might move the bench. But in the last year, we've had to take out 2 of those benches. We would like to find a way to reinforce them. I think Chuck, you mentioned you wanted to bring them to Matera Cabin to be used and potentially swap them out with.
Well, that was an idea.
Okay.
So
well, either way, we need support to kind
present,
of-
you could present that to the committee.
Yeah.
So we're asking for, like, this just occurred to me, but it sounds like Joe had thought it all out. But the benches seem to be not the highest quality for the use that they're getting at Millette's Homes Morgan. So I said, well, why waste them, right? So obviously the Conservation Commission would want to replace these. So I think one of the requests that Joe's going to make is to replace the rest of the benches down there. They're about $1,600 each. So maybe we can only afford 1 a year. But that would be one of the things. But for the DPW request, that would be cement and someone to make the cement, form and whatever the slab is in the certain area. So we can put the bench on it and put it in place. But just the cement. So this list is for things that we need done that we can't do ourselves, and we need a little help from the DPW, such as how they helped us with the Matera cabin deck. They dug the footings, which was a big benefit. So
Why would a slab prevent the legs from bowing?
So depending on which bench you look at, some of them have like paver stones down that the legs will either sit up against or like prevent them from moving. Two of the benches, they're actually just on a level, like kind of a crushed stone grade, so there's not much of it shifting. But I think it's actually the quality of the bench itself in potentially in the heat or, you know, in that environment, there's no stable ground. It's rough terrain that it's being placed on. Every time you have someone sitting on it, it's causing a shift in the legs. I also don't think they were assembled properly to begin with. So there's other concerns with the bench there. A stable kind of platform could help kind of minimize it moving. But ultimately, I think swapping it out with a different bench would be more ideal. So for the DPW's purpose, at least some sort of regrading or slab would be helpful to start.
So at least one of the benches is on a slab. That one's okay? The
That one is
up on the hill?
yes, because that is a different type of bench altogether. So
Okay.
that was, I think that was donated, correct?
I get a picture now, yeah.
So these
Um,
poly benches, were they part of the original project built by the original grant? And
Correct.
can we complain to them that they
do you
didn't
see the
do a good
back,
job?
the back bottom leg?
So it bows in.
It
And
doesn't
I
look
think
very safe.
we've put in requests, warranty requests.
Yeah, I've already, it's actually pretty easy with this company. So I actually put in the request already. And I'll hear in a few days whether they'll accept it or not. This particular bench unfortunately didn't have the barcode on the bottom, which you need because they identify each bench its own barcode. This one was missing. I turned that thing over a few times trying to find it. And I let them know that, and they seem to be processing it. They asked me for a second picture, but nothing beyond that. So we're only asking for whatever. We got the arm and both legs. I would be fine with just getting this arm right here. This leg section,
So
because the
you-
rest is
They could
fixable.
send you that and you could take off the old one and put on the new one?
Yeah, well, that's our second one. We're pretty much experts now.
This happened in, I think, the last 2 weeks too. There was no noticeable bend, so it was pretty quick.
So these are the ones that would be better, suited somewhere where it didn't get a lot of,
You
a
could
lot
pop
of.
a brace in the back of that, like nothing though.
You could.
We thought of that.
Just in
Yeah.
the back leg,
It'd be,
Yeah.
it'd be cheaper than
really
laying
gonna
the
do.
slab and then putting angles to hold all the legs.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it can be fixed, as a matter of fact, yeah, a lot of people suggest that. I like the slab because it's
Even
more
with a slab,
permanent.
probably throw something behind it.
Probably, yeah, you probably could.
Can I ask for the bench that we have the slab? I know the volunteers worked on the slab and then the bench was donated, correct?
Right.
How was that handled? So if we, theoretically, if there was a second donation for this is probably the most active bench used on the property. If there was a second bench donated, does that individual, if there's a bench donation request, is it the slab and the bench? Is it just the bench? We
It's
provide
a slab and the bench. That's what the last one was.
So the total, the donation from the individual in town that got that first bench, that was for the slab, the bench and the plaque.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they paid for it all and they were happy to do it.
I think it's like $2,500 for the whole thing.
It was just under 2,000, yeah, and I think the plaque, we weren't involved in. So, and it's just a tiny little, business card kind of thing.
So any other ideas for projects that we could use DPW's help on? I'm wondering if
What's out
there's
there,
any
Chuck?
paths that need stone dust or wood chips or anything?
Well, wood chips, certainly, they don't spread them out for us, they just dump them off. And we're able to get wood chips when we want,
Okay.
within 3 weeks.
Okay, so that
That
doesn't,
have to be on the
that
list.
doesn't raise to this level of this list.
The,
How about any of the repairs that need to be made to make Matera Cabin usable? Can we
I
put some
think
of
that
those on
Jane
this
Wellman
list?
would ask the DPW to do that, and certainly we would support her request. But I'm not making it seem like I know what they would do.
Mhm.
But if there was some sort of site work that needed to be done, it would make sense that we wouldn't pay some site work company to do that. But that list hasn't been, I don't know where that list lands, because it's coming up in the agenda, but we have a list of things that are needed. But it's really up to the fire department, the chief of the fire department, and building commissioner to say what we really need, or what they want. So we'll be having that meeting in the next couple of weeks, but Rick Nelson's out and maybe on vacation or something like that, or his schedule was full. And then our new building commissioner is out, and so we have to wait for him to come back. So it's not like, hey, get this meeting done, we're gonna be in there the next day. It's more or less like everyone's kind of holding their breath and trying to figure out who can do what, and when can this really get back in.
Do you have any projects down near Pinevale that need DPW support? Anything?
Well, I
to
have
do
my
with the
projects.
new
I'm
trail?
asking you for your projects.
Well, I'm just thinking of projects that, might be appropriate.
Yeah, I do.
I want to hear from Chuck.
Okay, what are your projects, Chuck?
Well, they're not all, so usually what I try to do is figure out who we have coming here from Next Step volunteers and what their skill level is. And then with those projects, but we do, we do have a couple of projects. So one of our requests that I looked at with Brian Bowe was there's some tree trimming needing to be done to open up some areas in the garden that get a lot of afternoon shade. So we wanted to make a request to get some trees trimmed up there.
Community garden.
Community garden, yeah.
Okay. How is the fence around the community garden holding up? Does it need repair, and is that something we need help
They
with?
wouldn't do that.
Okay. Fine.
No, they didn't even help. They didn't even help with the fence down by the parking lot. That was, that had to be done by, actually yours truly dug them and put them in. I think the conservation paid for it.
Okay.
So it's tough. So so like a trail, carve a new trail, bring cement out into an area where we can't get to. There's like in Bear Meadow, there's a stone wall, and someone put an opening in that stone wall, and I wanted to put it back like it's originally was. And so moving those rocks around is something that people can't do. I mean, that's pretty low. We don't need it done. But it's things like that we couldn't do. Another request was painting the handicap symbols on the ground at Matera Cabin and at Pearl Street. That was on last year's list, but it hasn't happened yet, so it's probably gonna be on this year's list. So it's really that kind of stuff.
What about the bridge at Sturgis Park that was being proposed across the, it was like a culvert or something like that? Trail that goes kind of along the was it river and the baseball fields, softball field? Wasn't there going to be a bridge or
Bridge, yeah.
crossing? Is that something that DPW would be involved with
Building it?
building it?
No.
Okay.
I think that's from
Yeah.
a project on Walnut Street is doing that bridge as mitigation.
There's a couple bridges going on out there now, so Walnut Street is trying to sell that project, so there's actually no, and Trails Committee found out that the bridge they wanted at the far end is far too expensive, excess of $50,000. So they haven't taken a vote on it, but I doubt that they're going to be doing that anyways. There's a possibility. What they have done is they've paid for a plan out in that area, and they're hoping there's enough room to get into an area where they can either build a bridge or go on land to get out and get back to the field. So there's another access at the end.
Okay.
So yeah, that all we have there is the trail at this point and no bridges. So what ends up happening is that bridge building goes back to the Trails Committee, and they do it as part of their list, but I'm not sure they would even do this one. One's reasonable. It's 16 to 18 feet across, and that's pretty reasonable. The one that we did at Millette Soms and Morgan across the Abidjona was 25 feet. So we know we can do 16 feet or 18 feet without a problem. But yeah, if you can keep thinking, on November 4th is the DPW meeting, and I'd like to give them my list well in advance. And so, yeah, so that's what we're looking for. Like you guys can you can do something in your house, but it would be better if you got a contractor to do most of the work. So that's kind of what the thought is. What can they give us a hand with that we couldn't do without them?
Okay, so
Are
people
you able
can
to put a
email
list
them to
together
you?
for yourself of what you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, I can put a list together. A lot of things had been taken, had happened. Our list is still pretty big from last year. They may not get through it all. So with whatever and with what they have to do, and they don't even have to do it. They just pick what they can do. This is a request, Best thing to do would be to have, sorry guys, have CPA, go to CPA and say, hey, we need, we're proposing a bridge. So I get all the labor. This is how much it costs. If you gave us that money, we could build this bridge. You could get the money from CPA. So the footings or something, I don't know how, trying to think like how would we get DPW? Maybe they would dig the footings next to the stream and create the footings for us. But we'd have to pay for engineering and all that.
And material.
Design the footings, yeah.
Are you able to give us like a 5-year plan of some of the things that you're trying to accomplish, and we can try to knock them off?
So there's a plan in the open space plan. You can look through that. Most of what I come up with is, I want to concentrate on the Matera cabin. I want to make that kind of like the hub of conservation and those trails that happen in that area. I talked about when I first came in, I asked if I want to get together a group of commissioners. Doesn't have to be 7 or 6 or 5, but there's a grant round coming up. It's open pretty much now. You can start on it. And it has to be by February, we have to have it turned in. And so I need some help writing a grant. And so are there grant writers in the group? Are there people that can write in the group? And so I reached out to Mary from the Montessori school, who said, many times when we were just talking, waiting for people to show up, that's what she used to do. So she's going to help me, but I need some commissioners too. She's busy doing something. She'd like to have someone put a bunch of stuff together, and she would take it from there, or she would come in and help us with next steps. There could be help also here in town from Andrew McNichol. But we don't want to just farm it out to someone else. We want to do this ourselves. We want to do this and get the credit ourselves. So the grant is for engineering and design of the path that's going in back of Recal. Following year, we're going to go out for construction. Okay, so design and engineering, and we probably want pricing too. So.
I think to Rick's point though, if we can get a list, consolidated list to kind of start to branch out how we would structure grants and how, like our vision, it would kind of help. Like you're taking what you just said putting it on paper, making sure that we have that.
Great. Now who volunteers to do that? Oh, it's my ideas. Okay.
We can
Well, you
contribute
know
to
No
what's
it.
good
going on in
turn goes
town.
unpunished.
Well, if you're looking for somebody to write a proposal, I spent 40 years doing technical proposals and sales.
Right? We got one volunteer. It sounds like someone who knows what they're doing too.
Used to do it.
Yeah, I'll send you the information. And, I have one, so I'll send you the information and we'll go from there. And as far as the 5-year plan, if you give me some time, I would put it together and to take that one more step. What we used to do in the town I used to work for is we used to always evaluate our properties, and it became easier once you went through once. And you would identify everything that needed to be done and get estimates on everything. And then you would choose what to work on. Now, again, this works best with a funding source, and grants are a good funding source, but the town I was in had CPA. So we would constantly update the estimates so they were current, and then know what we could do when we would go to CPA, and we would have drawings and whatnot. But that money for the drawings came through budgets. There was a budget involved in that too, but we could certainly do that. I could put something together if you give me some time. Maybe this is something that I would present in January. And then, and let you know what each place looks like. Cause I have like half a vision, but I guess this would complete it if I had to kind of write up what you're asking me to do.
Okay. All right, and it is after 9:30, and I think we don't have any minutes for approval, but we do have administrator's report on the Terra cabin, and that would be our last item, I believe.
Sure, it was only what I just already told you
Okay.
about that we're having a meeting in a couple of weeks. We have a list of things to do. I don't know how it breaks down, if it's something that staff and volunteers can do or what. We'll find that out and I'll report back. It's been a while. I think I have to say that Jane Wellman has, you know, it really stinks for this place to be closed down, and people have just kind of avoided it like a bad problem, like you just ignore it. But she's just come back with emails and got us again and said, let's plan another meeting and see what happens. So we're at the point we're gonna get another meeting in a couple of weeks. So I'm hopeful that it will at least have an understanding if we need to find some funds, or if there's funds available just to do minimum amount of work.
Has Trails had any impact on their work? I know they had a volunteer effort last week. Were they able to get all of their stuff out of the garage as needed? Or-
I wasn't part of that volunteer effort. I wasn't around, but I know that they were able to get what they need and it's been put back. But I can also let you know that activity around the trails and around the cabin, which we used to have a lot of activity, is zero. And you know, the Trails Committee would be there making pieces for different boardwalks and whatnot. That's all been shut down. It's basically a storage area now. So they're waiting for it. I mean, it's good that it's kind of wintertime too. I mean, kind of, you know, there's always a push for these last projects. Really get into winter, it's going to be better that the snow's here because there's more work to do. But I think Trails has probably been impacted almost as much as conservation, with not being able to use the cabin and not being able to rent it out.
Yeah, I'd really like to see that cabin able to be rented as soon as possible. So I appreciate your
Oh, Karen.
work in that direction.
Karen Herrick gave us a shout out at last night's select board meeting. She mentioned it. She asked the question directly to Matt and Jane. Jane gave it better, probably better than what I just said, but she let everybody know the time frame and what we're looking at. But it all ends up 2 weeks out. We got to get to this meeting with the building commissioner and the fire chief to find out what our next steps are.
Okay,
They're really driving this.
okay. Anything else? Anybody else have anything? Can we really have a motion to adjourn at 9:36.
I move that we adjourn this meeting at 9:36.
Michelle seconds, Michelle in favor.
Let me,
Key in
Rick,
favor.
when you're doing the research on Small Lane, if you're going through those,
oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I just looked on this and Eleanor Shonkoff is here. And she had a question. I think I let you and Brian know about this. The commission doesn't know about this. So we're gonna let Eleanor and
okay. Skip the adjourning. Sorry.
so Rick, if you see the words Talbot and Hammerhead in the same line,
Yeah,
please tell me.
all right, very good.
all right.
May I
There you go.
go ahead?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. I am really sorry to be standing between you and adjournment. So,
Hey, it's
my
only 9:36.
Right, I know. You guys have a lot of stamina, I know, but so it was my understanding that the commission wanted some clarification about some fill that we wanted to put in the backyard. So on the order of conditions that was previously approved on January 22nd, 2025, page 15, number 3 says that the rear yard will be regraded slightly to resolve the issue. And then I submitted a map to show a few additional fill areas that where I wanted to fill in with between 3 to 6 inches of fill. So what's previously approved is near the back edge of the property for 3 to 6 inches. And then on the side of the property, I wanted to put 3 to 6 inches as well. And then there's a couple of areas where we might put about 3 inches. Basically, the landscapers that came out and said, your yard is a little bit like this, and there's some spots we can put more fill in.
And just stop for a minute. You're talking about 32 Harvard Street, right?
My apologies. Yes.
Okay, just so everybody's on board. And your question is?
It was my understanding that the commission maybe wasn't on board, wanted to discuss whether or not I could add a little, the interpretation of slight regrading, whether or not adding a little bit more fill to the side around the corner of the house was within the scope.
Okay.
So
Is that-
Ellen, I'm gonna just try to.
Great, thank you.
Yep. So the order of petition went out and I talked to Brian and Martha and both of them understood this as there's a low point in the back right-hand corner that could be filled. And that was Brian's recollection when I was on the site visit with Eleanor talking about the fence. When she told me that they wanted to add like 6 inches to everything out there and smooth it out. Some will be more, some will be less, and then tow it into the slope right at where the wetland is. I said, I'm concerned about this because we don't have a plan that shows grading. And if you just let your landscapers loose out here, I don't know what's going to happen. So we talked that over and then we talked about what the approval was. And I said, typically the commission approves 2 inches over existing soil just to top dress it so someone can create a great yard. But this yard has a high point, low point, some humps, some valleys, and it needs to be straightened out, but I wasn't sure that we approved it. And so Eleanor has been waiting to get approval because I think the landscapers are ready to go. Yeah, so it's tough because what I'm saying can be done and what they're hearing can be done is going to be the problem. That's where I felt that when I was on site. I said, this is going to be a problem to myself.
Is any of the fill going on the wetland side of the wetland line? Or is it all uphill from the wetland line?
It's all uphill from the wetland line. And I do have a map I can either share my screen or Chuck has it.
Could you share your screen? That would be
Sure.
easier than, I wasn't
Great.
really prepared to.
Yep, great. Do you all see that?
It's coming. Yes.
Okay, great. So the map here shows this dotted line, I don't is what was previously approved for 3 to 6 inches of fill. Oh no, I'm getting a message that my Zoom is quitting unexpectedly. I don't know if you can hear me still or see the screen.
Yep, we can see you. We saw the message, but you're still there.
Great. And from what I understand from the landscaper, might need up to 6 inches of fill, but then the other 2 spots, I think it sounds like 3 inches of fill would be fine there. On the plan, it does say there's no grading to be done within 5 feet of the wetlands, so the landscaper would adhere to that. It would just be fill in those areas.
There were several other things, weren't, like the drainage off the roof from the downpipes.
Yeah,
We gave them an exemption to that.
But they were gonna run it, I thought, across the backyard.
no, it was really curious. I mean, Ian said that it couldn't be done, but if you can look at, that green spot there in the corner of the house. I have to do it like this. The green spot, corner of the house. This looks like it's gonna be an area that's gonna get a downspout. This is about 5 feet between here and the wetland. Here's the wetland. So I don't know if they're getting runoff from here or from here, but it certainly looked like this, along this line, there would be a downspout to here that would go in that direction. Ian said it couldn't be done. I don't know what he was thinking about, because this, between here and here, with a pipe directed under the ground and then daylighted in the wetland, is exactly what we were asking for. And they're putting 3 to 6 inches of fill on top of what's there now. So I don't understand why it was rejected by Ian.
I think he thought the groundwater was so high that the water wouldn't come out of the pipe, it would just sit there.
Yeah,
That
well,
was
he's
what he
wrong.
was saying.
Yeah, when I was on site, he's absolutely wrong.
Okay.
So, and if that was included, the additional, I mean, they could place the pipe in an area where it would be underground and above the water level, because it is above the water level right there. So
That
groundwater.
corner you were pointing to has the rain barrel.
Well, it
Yeah.
will. The house is under construction now. But tonight, my question was just
Wasn't there drainage coming the upper left-hand side of that diagram where the porch is?
Well, let's, like Eleanor says, we don't wanna start going off somewhere else, but I'm still surprised that we were told that, it can't happen, because it looks certainly plausible that it could happen. I mean, just a shovel and a piece of PVC would make this work. But as far as, Ellen, are you still there? So as far
Yeah.
as, grading, my issues were, when I was out there, that's a lot of fill right here. I'm gonna change the drainage pattern. And there's a hump over here somewhere. And what I'm hearing is, what I was hearing that day is you're gonna go 6 inches above everything and then just toe it into the slope. And so that looked like at the end of the day, this would be completely flat from one end to the other. And that's not what we approved.
right. And then my interpretation was that the slight regrading, and I asked
So we're not hearing you.
She froze.
Oops.
Yeah, so it's a difficult
Maybe she
situation.
comes
She needs
back.
to get going. I could put up the screen if you want.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I can
Yeah.
share again. I hope it doesn't cut out, but my conversation with Ian, I was thinking he was saying that there's like the slight regrading to him was sort of understood that there may be some other areas, where there's a little bit of fill added. And so it seemed like the question was sort of how slight is slight. I don't know if that clarifies.
So are you planning to add the 3 to 6 inches into the white area that was already approved? And also 3 inches into the pink circles and 3 to 6 into the green?
Yep.
I think the answer was yes.
Yes, excuse me, yes. And I drew this, so this is not an engineer's drawing or a landscaper's drawing. Just so, it's based on my understanding of the yard and the landscaper. And if this were approved, I would provide this to the landscaper and make sure he could adhere to this.
Comments?
We had talked about drainage going across a lawn. Now we're raising it 6 inches,
3 to 6.
so now,
There's a big slope already, and so I think we're just trying to slope it away from the house and down into the wetlands.
The current drainage is only the
I don't want to do design work, but isn't there some way to use that volume of soil to absorb the drainage off the roof?
Which volume of soil, the new soil or the current soil? Sorry, the proposed fill or the existing
Well,
soil?
if the place puddles, because the groundwater table is so high, if you're adding 6 inches, in theory, the groundwater is down here. I mean, I know how I would do it in my house, but I'm not into design work, as I discovered.
Tim, Rick, any thoughts?
It looks,
Chuck first.
it looks doable on the plan, where it doesn't look doable on site. So I, I'm okay if you approve it, but I don't think it was approved. So that's why we're here. So if you, what she's saying, Eleanor's saying is that this plan will be presented to the landscaper and they'll do what's on it. But what's not on it is an area that shows 6 inches higher than what's there now. That's a lot of material that you're bringing in there. I mean,
I'm worried that that leaves you quite a slope going down into the wetland because the wetland line comes so far into the yard.
and they're going right up against the wetland line. And with the slope, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's easier to see when you're there, like that, the sort of the green part is lower than the rest of the yard. So the wetlands and the green part are low down. And so I think the thinking is to basically smooth it out so that from the house out to the wetlands, there's a little bit more of a consistent slope down into the wetlands rather than sort of this thing with a low point around that back right side of the house. And so it wouldn't be like a drop off, it would be like a slope, gentle slope.
In that green area, is that to stop a basement flooding issue? Or is it just to flatten out the lawn there?
Is to flatten out the lawn. I don't know how it would affect the basement.
So obviously, you know, this is an area that gets a lot of water. The wetlands have gone right up to that point, and now you're kind of changing it just in front of it. Is it still gonna get some of the water? Makes sense to me to say this probably would be okay if they could do the pipe, the storm drain, or the gutter to the downspout, to the PVC pipe that discharges in the wetland, because then at least we would know the wetland in that area was getting some water. And because it seems like they're altering the surface water patterns.
Right, I think we'll be putting
Saying that
more
you want them
water
to
into
go
the
in the same
wells.
direction. I mean, I get that, maybe that's okay. But it's yeah, we're just used to looking at plans and elevations.
Yeah, I'm worried that this mound of green is gonna push the water off to the neighbor's house to your right, rather than letting it flow backwards into the wetland. So I'd be more inclined to say up to 3 inches, but not up to 6 inches. And I have less problem with the pink spots, because those are only 3 inches.
Right, okay.
Almost 3 inches on the entire, is it?
Chuck, are you at all concerned about her house with flooding?
Yeah, and I can speak to that too. So related to the 3 to 6 inches, the 6 inches is just to bring it closer to the level of the rest of the lawn. So right now that whole part of the lawn dips down. So it wouldn't be like we were creating a new high point. But then to the point about, is that going to dump more water into the neighbor's yard? We did have a conversation with them before they signed off on their permission with the building permit, and have in writing that if what the work that we do sends more water into their yard, we will work with them on some type of amelioration project. And Ian was confident about that because of the way that he's envisioning that the sloping is just going into the wetlands.
So I was concerned, so it didn't look to me, and I didn't study it as, let's say I was like a carpenter and someone said I'm getting leaks in my basement. So I wasn't looking like that. It was really standing in about in the green area, and I went there to talk about the fence. But what I heard was 6 inches over the existing land, and there's a very high spot. And I said 6 inches on top of that. And I think the neighbor has added soil in the back of their yard. So it's like significantly above like everyone else's grade. So I was thinking, is this what we're talking about here? Is everyone trying to fix their flooding problem by adding a bunch of soil on the back of their yard? And that was my concern. And so most of my concern is like not to approve it when it's not something the Conservation Commission approved, and when it's not something so de minimis that you guys wouldn't get mad at me. I mean, although, you think that that's not a thing, but it is. I don't want to take away your authority. So this seemed to be something that I didn't have any direction on. And it also, from the description, sounded like it was a lot of fill. I looked at the highest point and I said 6 inches above that. Wow. I'm not sure I can say yes to that. I think it's exactly what I said out there in the field.
Does this reopen the drainage conversation though now? I mean, like what we've been referring to, so we had a separate vote on
I don't
that.
think it has to. I mean, I think it seems to me that something could be done in that one corner, but, I question why Ian told us, like, knowing that there would be 6 inches above what's there, why a pipe couldn't fit between the existing groundwater table and the additional 6 inches.
I'm just gonna say, I would not approve 6 inches on top of the highest point. I would think the highest point should get 0. And the lower points should get some soil, but the highest point should not get any higher than it is now.
Agreed.
And just a technical question, it wasn't on the agenda. Are we allowed to vote on this? Or do we just vote on whether we think this is administrative approval or minor plan change? Can we actually approve making this change tonight?
This is, I think we're just establishing what Eleanor thinks we agree to and what you guys are do. So no votes needed, but if this sounds to be something that you've approved, then you can just say, yeah, we agree with that. But if it's not, then we have we have to do something different.
Pardon me, but I thought the Coltech system that's shown was being removed,
It is, there's no.
Yeah, the
there won't
drainage
be.
is,
but it says Coltech roof infiltration system. It's showing two rectangles.
Yeah, that's the old plan, and we agreed at a recent meeting that they didn't have to put that in because when they dug the pit, it was too full of water and it wasn't gonna work.
Yeah, so that's the reason I was surprised it's still on the drawing.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm sorry, and that's my doing. I didn't have Ian update the drawing. I just took the one that I had that was approved and drew my own bubbles on it.
So
To
the,
get through this, can we appoint Brian and Martha to go out there? I'll go too, and we'll just make a decision. You're gonna have to have more time than the last time. And maybe we can do this on Monday or Tuesday.
Will Brian be back by then?
Thought he was only going to Las Vegas for the weekend.
First you said Montana, now you're saying Las Vegas, whatever.
He's not gonna stay in one spot.
He'll be back.
Yeah, I don't know when he's coming on, but you and me could go out there.
Yeah. Are you guys okay with
Yeah.
that?
Anybody else wanna go with us?
Is it 6 inches of loam fill or is there additional, like rock fill underneath it?
Just soil is my understanding, and then we'll plant seed on top, and then
come
depending.
around, I'll go. I just don't know when you plan on going. I'll look at my schedule too.
Yeah, cause it would be great just to,
I've been there once, so I had.
if you see it and it's okay. You know, I thought that maybe 6 inches would need a retaining wall at some point, so we don't alter the wetland.
It's like 6 inches too. I think the loam gets really squishy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What's that?
Loam, it'll get squishy too.
No, I don't think.
6 inches.
Well, where they're
It's not- it's
proposing,
Talking like that.
everywhere where they're
a lot.
proposing is going to be solid lawn.
That's right.
I mean, it is pretty solid, except when you go below that, where she's asking to put in 6 inches in this green area, it is soft. But it won't be soft when they're finished.
But it will be 3 to 6 inches. So to your point about like a drop off wall, I don't think we would have like 6 inches and then wetlands 6 inches below. It would again just be like sloping down so that it gets gradually closer to the wetlands. And then once, it nears the wetlands line. Does that make sense? So it's 3 to 6.
Have now hit 10 o'clock. So
Gonna be all
let's
set.
schedule offline a site visit for me and Chuck and anyone else who wants to go or can go. And we'll figure it out. And we'll come out and check out your backyard and figure out whether we think this is gonna work.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Okay. All
And
right,
it would be best in the morning if that works out. Does that sound possible?
It would depend on the day and the time, but yeah, let's work it out.
What's your availability is in the afternoon, it's Tuesday,
Mhm. Usually,
if not for town.
Just shoot out whatever time and I'm
All
not
right,
super busy
we'll
next
try to
week,
figure it
so
out.
I'll get there. If I can get there, I will.
okay,
All right, I'll reach out tomorrow.
perfect.
sounds good. Okay, so can we adjourn at 10:01?
Thank you all.
I move that we adjourn at 10:01.
Michelle.